Yo, 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 welcome to Crate 808. And yes, people, because today is big. We are talking extensively, hopefully today, about the Moby Dick of dopeness himself. We are talking about Redman, Reggie Noble, and we've got two absolute legends in the house. Special guests for this live chat. We've got Kevin Beacham over there, Stories About Songs podcast, and my man Chris Mitchell. It's been way too long from the Breaking Atoms podcast as well. Both in the hot seat. How are we doing today, guys? How are we doing, Kevin? How are you, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm hyped up. And fittingly to Redman, I'm feeling hyped. So I'm ready to do this. I'm hyped. I'm feeling good. I've been listening to a lot of Redman. That's probably what got me in this state of mind. So it's like been a Redman weekend already. So yeah.
I love that. How about you, Chris? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm like, look, anytime it's time to talk about, man like Reginald Noble, I have to make sure I'm present. Definitely one of my favorite MCs. Top 10 for me, for sure. Where he sits, we'll share that. But yeah, man, love Redman, and I appreciate what you do in the show. So I had to honor the invite,
Oh, bro, of course. This is mad that you've just went in heavy off the top rope, exposed that turnbuckle and just said top 10 all time, bro. And so we know where we are right now. That's not that comes with weight when someone says that to me. That comes with some heft to it. So I was going to ask the GOAT debate. Is he, isn't he? Why is he not? Why is he? Let's kick off there. I mean, for yourself, Chris, you're saying top 10. Start off with me here. What is it about Reggie Noble, about Redman, that you're finding that you can't really find anywhere else in music generally?
I think for me, Redman is definitely one of the voices of like my formative years, not just in life, but in hip hop culture. So, you talk about those first 3-4 albums, like, I had them on cassette tape. I remember walking to school with them, listening to them. But I think, Redman's gift as an MC, he's just so unpredictable. I don't know what he's going to say next. Some people, you can kind of figure out the pattern, where they're going to go. But with Redman, I think of his brain as it's like a theme park that never shuts down. It's just always going. Redman, he's got this balance of humor, but he's not to be played with. So, and 1 minute he can be like Screech from Saved by the Bell. Then he'll turn into AC Slater. He'll jump on an R&B remix and turn into Zach Morris. He's all these things at once. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Just in terms of his penmanship, he's elite. He's absolutely elite. And, I know some of your favorite rappers are scared of him. He's one of the best.
It's inspired you to make a Saved by the Bell reference and move on like it was nothing. I felt that. I was like, this guy's come to play. He's putting AC Slater in here. He's putting Screech. I was not ready for that. I'm off kilter myself now.
I've been watching Saved by the Bell a lot lately because I've been getting into Abbott Elementary, which it kind of reminds me of Saved by the Bell. So I've just been, dipping and diving into that. But yeah, Redman is, I bow to Redman. If I ever met him, I'd buy him dinner.
Oh, but absolutely. What a way to put it. Kevin, what about for you? Where's Redman in for you?
Like, I'm the kind of person that I'm such a deep dive person, and I study lyricism, so I can never do top 10s because it's just like, it's impossible for me. But there is no way I could even think about it without having Redman in the conversation.
Yeah.
Like in my head, yeah, he belongs there, but like, so do 20 other people probably, but he's like so, and you just kind of nailed it, I'm saying, Chris, because like, it's his diversity. You have a lot of MCs who are great at various things. Very few MCs are great at everything. He's great at everything. Delivery, voice, style. He can tell stories. He's got punchlines and metaphors. Like R&B, the hip hop, underground, like fast tracks, slow tracks. It doesn't matter. There is absolutely nothing Redman can't do great.
Yeah. You've touched on my main point here for the GOAT debate, like greatest of all times. I have, with age, come to think he's probably the most versatile hip hop artist. Buster is like amazing, but I don't know. Sometimes Buster doesn't mold himself into the track. He doesn't find that balance of. Sometimes it's like, this is Buster show right now. It's like Eminem. Eminem can't do a feature because it comes the Eminem show, and it just isn't the artist song, if you know what I mean. Whereas Redman can slip and slide and go into these R&B remixes. Another reason he's a GOAT debate is you could easily, and I mean easily, make an argument for him being the heist merchant of features. Like he is the guy who's got that feature game on lock. You know, there's only a handful of other people I'd maybe put in that. And maybe that's because his versatility lends itself really well to him being just so good on so many different types with so many different people, if you know what I mean.
No, that's yes.
I mean, but what's understood don't need to be said. You're 100% right. 100%.
So the use of word unpredictable was a great word. Unpredictable is another important aspect. Is like, yeah, you in the middle of a track, he tells us that I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna stop rapping. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna change characters. You never, anything is possible.
Yeah, I mean, he calls himself to call yourself the Moby Dick of dopeness. Like, I don't know how you think of that. Like, my brain can't wrap around it. Like, I know he does. He likes to smoke extracurricular things, and that might inspire creativity. I get that part, but just that visual, bro. The Funk Doctor spotlight, it's mad. Like, it's some people have to work hard and try hard to be different. Whereas to me, it just seems that Redman is just naturally different because he's himself. He doesn't have to practice because he's himself.
Interesting. Before I jump into my next point about like maybe why he's overlooked, is he overlooked? I don't know. Sometimes I find myself in a bit of an echo chamber of like other fellow rap nerds, and I don't really see it. But then sometimes I'm at festivals and they're playing Redman songs with a bunch of white people that are into like folk music, and I'm like, what is going on here? This is mad. This is Redman. So I want to talk about that, but we talked about the features there a little bit. I had to list a few here because his catalog is so deep. But I was like, right, let's just quickly run through how good he is at these features, right? And I'm going to skip past his intro to the game because I wasn't like of age then. I wasn't listening. I went in retrospectively to that, but I hear the stories of the hype around him when he's on Hardcore, Brothers on My Jock, Headbanger. When that stuff's dropping, I understand there's some hype. But I was looking at it here, right, and I was like, holy shit, right, this guy is ridiculous. He just went there with Nothing But the Gangster with MC8 and Spice One, where he's on this track that is it's a precursor to Got My Mind Made Up. This is Got My Mind Made Up feature way before Got My Mind Made Up. I had that one. I had That's My Word with DJ Honda, most underrated 90s gems. Oh man, right. It's a good job we're not doing best Redman verses, because Flip Mode Squad meets Def Squad, right? I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that, but
that's one of the quintessential posse cuts, right? Like that one right there. Oof.
And Redman on it, I think Redman owns it. I think Redman owns that.
It's a hard one. But he's certainly you can say Redman and no one can argue with you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna. It's a favorite thing at the moment. Who's got your favorite? It's debatable, but like Redman's never really been outshined on a track. No, sir.
Okay, I love that. I was gonna clip that bit because I really enjoyed that.
I would say he's probably the most complete on there.
Yeah, okay,
I would agree with that.
Yes,
probably the most complete on there. Yeah, so like that's what I would say for sure.
Okay. Did he own Beast from the East with Lost Boys and Cannabis? I mean, no. He went toe to toe though. He went close. With Cannabis was a beast.
I feel like what he did on that song, he was just like, look, man, I'm going to let you in my house. You're a guest in it, but you're going to have free reign of the house. This is your time. I'm going to fall back just a bit. Sometimes when someone comes to your house and you're like, look, man, take your shoes off, go into do what you want to do. That's what he did on that. He goes like, this is your moment. Let me step to the side.
Okay. I feel you. I like that. I like the way you put that. And just sorry, go on, Kevin.
No, I was saying I would co-sign that. That sounds about right. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, right. I'm glad we're all getting on. There's two more I had here. I mean, come on. One Shot Deal with Beanie Siegel, right? It was on my playlist. I haven't heard it in so long, and I was like, oh my God, this is just top tier Redman. This is like, he's got so many. There's just things on shuffle now come up and surprise me. And the last one I had here, which is just True Goy the Dove as well, rest in peace, on Ooh, and hearing the stories of him writing that like for Redman kind of thing and Redman delivering it like that. It's just some of the features right there. I had to touch on them before we jump in. But any from you guys that you thought you wanted to just quickly touch on before we jump into some other bits?
Man, one of my favorites is Headbanger.
Oh, let's go.
That one just really I was like, okay. Like I already, because I was listening. I remember when I first heard Brothers on the Jock, I remember this being like, who is this? And then he's twice on an album and it's EPMD. Like, okay, this guy is special. If he's twice on a feature on an album, I'm saying that wasn't normal at all. still not normal, to have someone out. I mean, it's a little more normal now, but definitely not back then. So,
yeah.
And he was just great. And so like, I was the kind of person that like, even before that, when I would listen to albums or read shout outs, I would write down anyone's name. Like, who's this? If EPMD is co-signed this person, I need to know. And so I had Redman on this list for like a couple of years, just waiting for a moment to hear more. I actually first met Redman because I went to an EPMD Red store in Chicago for that 92. So right around the time he's about to do his first single, but the single wasn't out yet. And I went to an in-store, but I had seen a promo video from someone, and so I knew what he looked like. Oh. And most people didn't know what he looked like. So when I went to the in-store, I was with my friend, I was like, that's Redman. And I was like, Redman. He was like, who knows who I am in here? Because I was the person who knew what he looked like.
Oh, so wow.
He came up and met me because I called his name out. Yeah. So I met Redman in the in-store because I just recognized him because I saw this Def Jam promo tape, videotape, they had a few snippets. So yeah. So that whole moment of like that first time hearing him and then going into the Headbanger, man, I knew he was going to be special.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that.
You mentioned features, man. Like all those features you listed are crazy. But I don't know if you or the Create 808 listeners know. Like I'm an R&B guy too. When they hip hop, like I'll pour me a coffee and I love R&B. My wife is a big Redman fan, and we had a Redman remix day the other day. His verses on the Me and My Dreaming Eyes remix for D'Angelo. The Chico DeBarge Superman Lover remix. Like, dude.
That's where it started. The Superman Lover, man.
Dude. Redman on an R&B feature is absolutely... I love his verse on Keep It Moving, EPMD, him and Keith Murray, Never Miss. Just going through my playlist right now. There's one more. I also... It's probably not one of his standout verses, but I love the conceptual nature of the song, and that's The State versus Kirk Jones from the Sticky Fingers album where he plays the lawyer.
Oh.
If there's one studio session I'd want to be in, I want to be in the studio session for that song because I want to know how they wrote it. Did they write their verses together? Like, how did Sticky do the roles? Like, Raw Digger, you're going to be the lawyer, the judge. Cannabis, you're going to be the lawyer. Like, it's nuts. And their verses and their deliveries fit the roles that they were playing so well. So yeah, those are some of my favorite Redman joints. Features at least.
I'm loving that, Paul. I had Something for the Honeys remix, right? That I listened to that the other day. That's still vibes. You know what I was trying to think about? Vibing. Boys to Men.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, this guy was out there with Boys to Men, and I'm sure he did something with Jodeci as well. So he was just playing.
Yeah, he was on their second album.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bro, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. So this is what I mean. So if we're then dipping into something about Redman that I've just over the years, I've maybe thought that is he a bit overlooked? Like, these lists drop and you don't always pay them any really attention, but just it kind of gives you a vibe check on where, I don't know, maybe social media hip hop heads are. And you're like, where are people? I don't know what you guys think. Do you think he is overlooked or not overlooked? Or how do you feel he's portrayed nowadays in 2023?
He's one of the people I feel is in that really tricky space. Like you were just saying, like you feel like he's overlooked because you don't hear his name. Like he's as good or better than a lot of people you hear. You go on Twitter or whatever, and you see who all the names you always see. You don't see Redman as much, and he's as good or better than a lot of those names. So in that regard, you're like, okay, he's not getting his full respect. But when his name comes up, or like you said, DJs know, or you go to a club or a festival, and he gets played, the reaction will tell you that people feel the same. For some reason, they don't think about it. They don't initiate it the same. He's not the first thing you think of. But like if someone brings up Nas and then you bring up Redman, that person probably be just excited, but like they'll just bring up Nas first for whatever reason. So it's a tricky thing. He's in a weird space.
Interesting.
I think I have a theory. I can't prove it, but I have a theory. I think Redman suffers from the same kind of stigma that Busta Rhymes, Ludacris, AZ, but particularly Busta Rhymes and Ludacris, where when your humor and your character is so big, and you are so good at so many different things. Redman's been so good for so long, it's just normal at this point. It's like, oh, that's Redman, because he's that good. You look at someone like a Lil Wayne, you can plot out his trajectory. It's like, okay, he starts to this is where he's going to take off. You can literally see Lil Wayne's trajectory go upwards if you just plot the lines in his career. But Redman has been good since day one. And he's still good now. Like I think of an AZ. I listen to AZ rap and it's, that's just another day at the office. He's that good. So I think sometimes when people can't necessarily put you in a box, you know, you may get overlooked. You know, the class clown sometimes may not get celebrated or recognized for just how good they are at the coursework, or, you know, putting pen to paper because they're always making the class laugh. So I think sometimes Redman falls into that. And I also think whilst he has a lot of longevity, you know, he may not have sold as much as his counterparts. Like, I think his first 3 albums kind of all went gold, and that's nothing to sniff at. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, you know, he's not necessarily mainstream. Yes, he's done music and movies, and, you know, he's doing all different types of pieces, but he's never necessarily been the superstar. And I dare to think that he probably didn't even want to be the superstar, because he's an artist's artist at the end of the day. If you know, you know, basically.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to add to that. I was going to add what he was saying, that I think part of that, I agree with what you're saying. I think even further with what you're saying at the end there is that he's not out there yelling that I'm the best. He does it on songs. You know, he talks about it on songs, but like, he's really like, you know, when you meet him in person, he's a really humble guy. He's real chill, laid back, you know, in the Redman way, in the way the Redman can be laid back.
Bro, he's out there skydiving. He's out there skydiving right now.
Yeah. So he's not out there just being like, he's not up there to, you know, call himself a legend. And, you know, I don't see that. I guess maybe if he is, I'm not really paying attention to it. Like, he's not his own bullhorn, like, you know, make sure, look at me. He's his look at me is like, I make music and it's dope. You want people, it's right there, and you'll see.
Yeah.
You know, rather than look at me. So I think that I mean, and people who are always in your face, you know, people are gonna remember you more. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, there's that interesting line between being memorable and not being like a massive star. There's a weird kind of line there for me, and I think that. You funny you say that, because there was a point of oversaturation, I feel, at some point. I remember him coming out with original prankster with Offspring and stuff like that, and I was like, "Well, okay, so he's like, it's everywhere now. Like, he's Dirty came out, Christian Aguilera, all this, and he became just huge. Adam F, that track with Adam F was huge, and it's like, yeah, I don't know if it's oversaturation, but I think as time has gone on, I look at like maybe the reasons people don't, because I think a lot of the artists that we still really regard highly are kind of artists that have either had substance or like some real storytelling, like just stories, narrative of their lives that have just transcended the music. And although Redman's did, because he's such a cartoon, he's a cartoon of a rap star, and not in a bad way, as in like he's larger than life. He's almost an animation. And I think that lack of, in inverted commas, substance. And I don't think I'm going to dispel some of that in my picks I've got here coming up, because I think there is substance to what he says. But I remember him talking about mental health on that first album. He's got a little bit, he's not talking about mental health, but it's in a weird, his own way of doing it. But I just thought he's witty, he's ultimately relatable. You know, he got his ass kicked on his first fight he had. Like, he says that on a track, and you're like, yes, you are me. You're not Eazy-E. You know, you're not DMX. You know what I mean? And you're not even the Woo. The Woo were mystical magician wizards. This was like a guy who's like, I've got a shower cap on in the video and I don't give a fuck. And it's like, yeah, wow, you are us. It's mad. Yeah. But yeah, no, I just thought some of these points, by the way, we did do a 3-album run on Redman a while back, and I'll probably repeat in some of my points, but I thought about it just because I had to. So the chat is kicking off, guys. We are in the 808th chamber, which is our live stream. And let me have a quick look at what people are saying. Jack P's here. Redman is massively overlooked. Oh, what we were talking about. The Method Man Union. Union may have hurt him a little, but there's an argument that Meth didn't make a record as good as Muddy Waters. And I think another reason for a GOAT debate, without question, he's got 2 classics. I'd say maybe 3 classics, because There Was Darkside for me is an absolute classic.
Same here.
Thank you. It's my favourite Redman record. So mine
too.
Yeah. Oh, right. So we're good. We're in the good place, because when my list comes, it's got a Darkside vibe to it. But yeah, no, I think he's got 2 or 3 classics to his name, and I don't think we can argue it. I think it's kind of a fact that Method Man doesn't. So you're right there. Jack P, he's definitely overlooked, but his first 3 albums are all classics. Yeah, absolutely. And What The came out before Enter the Wu-Tang. Yeah, and that's the same energy to it. Yeah, absolutely. Ninjas Rose, Yo Pete's Redman may not be high up on my favourites list, but he's definitely overlooked. So people are agreeing here. Album for album, he might be up there. Objectively speaking, he's around the top 20. Well, there you go. See, they're echoing what we're saying. Yeah, I mean, we talked about humour there a little bit. Can I just quickly touch on the humour of Redman? I have a few moments here I need to just talk about, because you have his growth from like What the Album to him coming out the mud or Muddy Waters. Like, you know, he's like his style changes, I feel, as he goes and gets older, and his humour changes as well. But I thought comedy in hip hop is just so huge. Like, generally, to deal with what these people deal with coming out to make this art form, and how some of them go to humor to kind of translate a lot of that. I think Redman's one of the first people I was like, he is grasping at the kind of trivialities of his life, but the weight of them is so huge, and it's kind of an unbearable struggle, I can imagine. So you do go to something you can bear, which is kind of humor. And I was listening to I'm a Bad, and I was just like, how he switches that into a house track is ridiculous. And that's part extension of, he speaks Korean on a song. Like, he just speaks Korean. What are we doing right now, people? So I don't know what you guys think to the humor and where he comes, and where that kind of lands for you in hip hop.
I think that in general, MCs who can master adding humor into if they have dynamic personalities and part of that is humor, that is a great key for success. I mean, you look just historically, Busta Rhymes, Chubb Rock, all them people who were like very skillful and had humor, you know, they were able to really capitalize and bring that to life. And I think Redman, his inspiration, because he was like inspired by like guys like Jimmy Spicer from the early 80s. Jimmy Spicer he quotes Jimmy Spicer like every few albums. He has like a little Super Rhymes reference every once in a while. You know, he always references him. So, you know, that was like my favorite. When I was 10 years old in 1980, Vince the Super Rhymes, that was like my favorite, because he was like skillful, but he had humor. And so I think that like Redman picked up on that probably from Jimmy Spicer and Count Cool Out and artists like that, and just really just took it and brought it to his personality as a lyricist. Yeah.
Fascinating callback. Yeah. What about you, Chris?
I think humor is definitely one of Redman's superpowers, but I think just generally with MCs, like Kevin said, you know, he mentioned Chubb Rock. You know, I'd throw Cameron in there for their humor. Someone like Fonte, who's got a very dry humor, which is quite reflective of mine as well. But I think people who come from backgrounds like us, you know, ethnic folk, I think we have this way of, sometimes we don't even mean to be funny, and it will make people laugh. And I think that's a spiritual thing that's in our DNA, you know, Black and brown people. We have this humor that's quite infectious. It's a number of things. It's deadpan, it's laugh out loud, it's sarcastic, it's all these things. But I think, you know, when you go under the surface a bit, you know, self-depreciation and humor is a coping mechanism. And when you start looking at, you know, There Is a Darkside, you know, he was going through things whilst making that album. And, you know, I can speak for myself, you know, there's a saying that I have is that if I don't laugh, I'll cry. So humor is vital. It's definitely vital. But again, it's one of those things where I think you might get overlooked if you're just seen as the class clown. But in spite of this, Redman has a lot of humor, but I would not rhyme on the track with him before or after. I ain't doing it. No, sir. No, leave me alone.
I did feel bad for Keith Murray on that Flip Mode Meets Death Squad, because he kept...
No, but can I say something?
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
You see Keith Murray, yeah?
Yeah.
Keith Murray's a G, you know? He's a G, and I don't like what's going on. Like with people on the internet, no, we're not doing that. I wanted to be Keith Murray once upon in my life, you know. Like, he was making up words, bruv. Like, my reading level was 3 years beyond my age. So I'm looking at man like Keith Murray and Redman together is like Aki and Saltfish. Let's not do that. Thank you.
Like that. I love that. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what's going on about Keith Murray, but I actually kind of don't want to know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like where he is in my head right now.
Yeah. Let's leave him alone.
Let's leave it. Absolutely. So what we're going to do now then, right? I'm going to count down from 15 to my top 5, right? And I'm going to run through these. I've been doing these for a few months now, and they were into 3 hours. We're not doing that today. We're going to just crack on. We are not doing one of them. So I'm going to go through, and I'm going to see if I can get any of your 5s as we go. And people in the chat, please drop us your top 5s when I get to my number 5. Right, so we'll kick it off then. My number 15. We are going to a track that was once my top 5. It's just dropped this far now. It's basically produced by Redman himself. That beat is, to this day, as scary as when I first heard it. And that strange universe that Redman occupies, it's actually one of the hardest songs in this whole list for me to kind of describe. It's more of a feeling when I hear this, and it's that alien, like the verse is crazy. Was I drop a punchline at lunchtime because I'm close encounter of the non-kind with dumb rhymes. But oh my, it's just that verse is unreal. And the cherry Bianca, all that shit that he comes out with, you know, the flavor, he's dripping with it, and just all this kind of stuff. I think it really settled on me recently why I love this song, because it reminds me of a time where the weight of that last verse, and I remember this was a time in hip hop, and I'm not sure if it still is really around, but he actually sounds really mad about something real, and you don't hear that about Redman much. It's not really, he sounds angry, and it's when he talks about why is it every time multi-platinum artists always use the underground to make a comeback, is it fair to the hardcore ends at rap, that kind of thing, where it's like, oh yeah, there is that moment of we're the hardcore, you're the overground, stay away, that kind of thing. And yeah, just that song is a real moment in time for me, and yeah, basically is right up there for me. But touching, anyone got any thoughts or touching on anyone's 5 there?
That was one of the, if not the hardest one to decide who's in my 5 or not. That was like one of the ones. Yeah, that was like that's like my 6 or 7 for sure.
Okay. Any thoughts on it before we move on? Anyone?
I mean, you know what? I only did 5. I haven't even done my top 15. I've done 5.
No. You're supposed to bring 5. I thought I messed up. Yeah, no, I'm the Wally that brings 15 because I can't stick to 5, Chris. That's essentially. Okay. And I thought, I run this show. Why don't I just do 15 then? So yeah.
I mean,
sorry.
I still agree with his. I still agree with his sentiment though. Like I think that's still happening now. Well, you know, not just in music. Like, you know, you got people, they'll use. There's people who watch the underground, they'll watch what the independent artists are doing. They'll copy, not give credit. Or, you know, when things get a bit ropey, they say, oh, let's go over here and do a song with, I don't know, Rock Marcy. And yeah, get my groove back a bit. I don't like it. I didn't like it in 94 and I don't like it now. So I feel his sentiment and I can relate to his anger.
So where do you stand on this then? Travis Scott's just dropped an album that is just ruling all my timelines. The Alchemist is on there with West Side Gun.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I actually was like, do you know what? Fair play. Alchemist is on something so huge and West Side Gun is on something so... I saw it from that angle. In 94, I wouldn't have seen it from that angle. I think as a kid...
You're grown now. You're grown.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is, isn't it?
You're grown. And you know what? I'll be real with you. I'm easy to get, man. Like, you put certain people on an album... If you put, like, I don't know, if I saw Fonte featuring Travis Scott, I'll go and get it because Fonte's on it and I want to support the people who I love. So,
of course. And
at the end of the day, you know, it's not about drawing division lines either. It's like, you know, these people probably are fans of these people. Like, you know, we can't, the same way you can't put Redman in a single box, we can't put other artists in a box. Because I'm telling you, there's certain man out there, they might be making, I don't know, trap music, but then when you go into their car and listen to what they're listening to, it's very diverse. It's wide. So yeah, let's not limit the artists in terms of what they do. I'm interested. I still haven't heard it, but I will listen to it because Alchemist and West Side Gun is on it. It's going to be the first Travis Scott album I ever listened to because of that.
Okay. I see where you're coming from. I see. Kevin, what do you think?
My general thing is, you can't limit artists doing artistry. I like to leave artists the freedom to be artists. So like, I always assume no matter how much I love an artist, they're going to make some music I don't like. That's just the nature of art. I don't love everything. Even my favorites, I don't love everything they do. It's rare that I love everything someone does. So when someone goes, experiments and does whatever, R&B, house, dance, jungle, doesn't bother me. Long as at some point I get more of what I like, long as I get it eventually. That's all. Then I stay tuned in. And if I don't get it, then I just tune out and I listen to what they already did that I love. I don't like to push artists. Be like, why? I don't think about that stuff. Like, do whatever you want. Now, of course, I will be bothered if it sounds and feels completely manufactured.
Yes.
Sometimes you can feel when it just feels like they're just trying to do something that doesn't make sense, and that would turn me off. But I still won't judge it. I guess I would judge it by not being like, But beyond that, I won't have a public, opinion about it. I have a personal reflex about it.
Yeah.
So let artists create however they want to create is my theory.
I feel that because in 1994, you're looking at when Redman's dropping this rhyme, he's putting a line in the sand kind of thing, which isn't like Redman. Like Redman doesn't get in beefs, he doesn't get in battles because people kind of know you don't fuck around with Redman kind of thing. And it's like, you don't really, I think it was an MC Hammer thing one time, and he kind of apologized. I think he apologized, or so it came to an amicable end, I'm sure. And it didn't go much further. But when you hear him on this and he's genuinely mad about people doing this, I was just wondering, like, he didn't name a name, but there's a subliminal in there somewhere for someone. So no, interesting, absolutely interesting. Number 14 then, we're going to go the other end of Redman now, and we're going to The Goodness featuring Busta Rhymes on Docs the Name. Now, this song is just, again, oversaturated. It was everywhere. When I was 20 years old, this was everywhere in London. It just seemed to be on all the time. And that makes you kind of not realize that this might be one of the best Redman verses ever. Like, honestly, there are a lot, but listen to The Goodness today with today's ears. It's unbelievable. He is the most accomplished pop artist rapper at this moment, and it's sublime. Like, I find this beat kind of timeless, like, as in, it is always going to move me. So even when I'm old, I'm going to be riding these sounds. It just feels like it. And to get two solar suns colliding, like of energy of Buster and Red, and have it on an album, on a beat like this, I just thought needs to be, and it delivers. It sticks the landing. I kind of had to shout it out. So it's my number 14. I don't know if you guys have The Goodness up and around yours, or if you have any thoughts on it.
I love that song. Great album. I look at Docs the Name. That's the album where Def Jam said, all right, you're going platinum now. We're pushing the button. Like, it just sounded bigger. It was clean. It was shiny. It just felt like it was just something was going on in that album. And I still love the album. I don't think it's a classic, but it's a great, great album. And I can still listen to it now. But yeah, The Goodness. I remember being in school. I'm showing my age now. And I'm doing, yeah. Mad.
Love that. Kevin?
You know what? It's been a minute since I heard that. I remember when it first came out, having like knowing they're snapping on it, but I actually haven't listened to it in a long time. But what you're saying seems like it makes sense to my memories.
That was his first platinum album, and it felt like I don't know. I can't prove it. I just felt like, all right, the building is behind him now. Like, that time Def Jam was just platinum every month. Like, 800,000? No, 1 million. I feel like someone said, all right, Redman, press the button, 1 million. There you go.
Yeah. I feel that. It felt like a homecoming of sorts. As a Redman fan from young to 2000, that was one of my most rinsed albums of that year. Easily. For sure. Same here. Banger after banger after banger on that album. So and big up Scott Atcho. I don't know if you guys follow Scott Atcho, but if you can see behind me here, I've got a Raekwon figure signed by Raekwon, right? I've got a Method Man one behind there. This guy did a Redman one, and he could have gone to all different eras, all different characters of Redman, and he did Docs the Name, and it's like him smashing these bricks. It's such a brilliant figure. It was outside of my budget. Please lower your prices, Scott Atcho. But it was enough for me to go, do you know what? I've now come to realize that album is actually quite significant in the hip hop community. Like, you could easily get there as Darkside, because just imagery wise, it's probably the most iconic, and Muddy Waters probably being second with just that cover. But let's go to our number 13 then. My number 13 here. Let's see if we're hitting anyone's top fives with this one. I got Journey Through the Darkside, produced by Eric Sermon and Redman from 1994. Is that up and about anywhere?
It's in my top 5.
Oh, bingo. We got one. Kevin's got it. Chris?
Not for me, but I just want to salute Redman, the producer. I think we're talking about him as an MC, as a producer, like the beat he did for Fader More, for Jamal. As much as I love Pete Rock, man, I'm going to go with the original over that one. Redman is a super producer when he wants to be.
Absolutely. And that album is testament to that. Kevin, I'm sorry I've got it at 13, but remember where I'm coming with this. That's a lot of weight for me. How for you then? Is that in your top 5? Like, why is it in there? What's that song mean to you?
It captures to me what I was saying earlier about just describing Redman, just like his versatility. That song captures most of his qualities in a way where it also doesn't, like, let's say you don't like things that are too over the top, and where he's stopping the song and doing a Miami bass thing for 5 bars, or doing this. He's just got a nice, kind of slow moving beat and just rapping the best he can rap.
Yeah.
The wordplay's there. He's changing up the timing. He's switching up the flow. It's all on my top 5 are pretty much 4 of those songs are like that.
Right. Interesting.
To me, it's those kind of songs. I'm like, I didn't even realize it until I picked. I went through the list. I was like, oh, these are all the same song.
but you know why you love
it's
Red.
Like every album he just does one of these. He just does. Oh, this is the one for this album. Okay,
yeah.
So like, that's how my top 5 is made of. Like 3 of those for sure. Like each album, the 1, 2, and 3, those first 3 albums, the song that's like that song is my favorite.
Interesting. Because I see that because he has that, he's doing everything, but it's the earworm, the things that the splinters that are sticking in your brain afterwards, where he's like, guess who's back when I bring funk, like zap that situation, all aboard motherfuckers, your brain's jacked. And what's the other moment that he says in this? There's so many good, there's a baby's catching, like labor catching vapors or something. That line always stuck in my head where I'm like, what is this guy doing?
The layers are ridiculous. When he released There's Darkside, I interviewed him. I had a magazine called Caught in the Middle in 94, 95. And the second issue, and the column I had in there was called Microphone Mathematics, which is a whole long story about that. But anyway, so this is before, De La said it on record and everything. I had a column called Microphone Mathematics. And I interviewed Redman, and it was just, the column was basically breaking down lyrics. That was the column. And so I interviewed him about There's Darkside, where I just mentioned lines and had him break down what the lines meant. And so, like, spending like an hour with him just explaining to me all my favorite lines on the record, that kind of helped shape my perspective of like what that song is. Yeah, so like that's one of the songs I talked about, and I'm pretty sure he describes a few things in that song. I was like, oh, okay. So having that inner, like having Redman tell me what he meant has some weight, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah. That again, some of the best Redman stuff you're going to hear is on that song. Absolutely. Oh,
magazine right here, actually.
There it is.
Oh, that's dope.
Fair play. Kevin bringing the history. I love this. Love that. This is great. And just to revert back to your point there about Redman the producer, I think Journey Through the Darkside might be one of my favorite Redman beats generally, like just in his whole catalog. It's the beat. Oh, I know Eric Sermon's on it as well, but I had to give it to Redman as well. But yeah, okay. Number 12 then. Number 12, bit of an underground hit, but man, it's the Rockwilder and Eric Sermon. It's Funkorama. 1995 on the Insomnia compilation. I remember it was on. That is just absolutely bananas. He's rhyming Worcestershire in 1995. That's all I'm going to say. He's rhyming what? He said Worcestershire. I've never. He was a man of the world. He's travelled. That's what well-travelled. I don't know if I misheard it or what, but Jesus Christ, that is just, that rhyming on there is amazing and just brilliant bars. My style goes deaf like road, like deaf like jam, and deaf like jam or squad, deaf like that whole moment. That's what we're talking about. This is the guy with ingenuity and skills and just acrobatics, man. This guy's going acrobatics. Anyone for Funkorama? What are we saying?
Yep, that's in my top 5.
Chris, boom.
Man.
Let's go. Man. You tell me. You tell me.
You know what? It's more so of a memory thing. I remember, just being in school, it was a community of music and we would share stuff like, oh, yeah, I remember when Reasonable Doubt came out, someone gave you the tape. So people would bring music to you before you even ask, right? So I remember this guy, he brought me the Eric Sermon Insomnia, right? So when I heard Funkorama with the black and white video as well, and I just remember, I think that's probably the first time I ever really registered the greatness of Redman. That's why that song is out there for me, because I was a bit late. First Redman album I ever heard in full was Muddy Waters. Then I went back.
Right.
But when I heard Funkorama, the light bulb went on in my head. I said, this guy is dope. And I swear he produced the record as well. I thought it was Eric Sermon. I was like, nah, you're taking liberties, bruv. Great song, great compilation. That Insomnia compilation as well, right? Crazy. So yeah, I think Funkorama, like on my Redman playlist that I made, Funkorama is the first song on there.
Wow. Okay. Kevin, thoughts on Funkorama?
It was one of the main ones in my consideration if it was going to be in the top 5, and it didn't quite make it. It's probably rounds out about in the 7 or 8, but it's right there. And I could switch in any given moment. So yeah, it's right there. It's top 5 worthy. I'll say that.
Okay, I'm glad it's so high in people's, because I think what Funkorama does well for me as well, in a more subtle way than his earlier stuff a few years earlier, is this brilliant dynamic in hip hop. Like, it's not just Redman and Eric Sermon do it of some of the best, but a lot of artists do the really just sublime, smooth and rough formula. We're going to go smooth and rough. It's that formula that's on display in this song at such a brilliantly subtle but beautiful way, of like, you're either going to have smooth rhymes on hard beats or hard rhymes on smooth beats. And what Red does on here when he says, I'm dumb nice, I bring my worst lyrics to a gunfight. But on this beat, that's incredible, that alone. But
insane.
I'm like, insane, absolutely. But then you think, oh, but you put it on these Sonics. Yeah, something Funkorama is special like that. It's very special like that. So, yeah, no, absolutely. Before I go to our number 11, I was going to quickly, people have been talking in the chat, what people are saying. I think Redman represents, and that's what many modern artists lack, says Aaron. So he represents and other people don't. That's interesting. Not on the humour side, but his flow feels almost percussive. And the way he works in and around and rides the beat is fairly unique, says Jack B. Yeah, and it changes from his first album to Muddy Waters to then the goodness. It's like more kind of not accomplished, but he's more comfortable and he can just switch it when he wants. Whereas first it's just energy. Absolutely.
Like he said, like he says, right? Switching up speeds like Bruce Lee on a Fuji in a movie.
Bro, come on. That's a little foresight into my 5 for the heads out there. But yeah, we're coming to that. Don't worry about that. We're coming to that. Oz loving the hijack tee. Yes, Kev representing there. Absolutely. The goodness reminds me of listening to the Chubby Kids on Radio 1 in the late 90s. I'll be that and put the monkey in it. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Or also bangers from that album. Absolutely, Oz. I'm glad that you're bringing that. Yeah, absolutely. Talking about bangers, I've got another one here at 11, right? Right. The way this song starts, yeah, it's this cloudy 20 seconds of almost a wall of noise situation, right? And it disperses into this just heavenly funk bed that is all time for me, this, right? Listen to it again today. And it's rated R. Rated R is this, I just think this is the Genesis pool that Eminem emerged from, absolutely. Where he says, I've got a heart, but my heart is made of nails. Words to Jamel, my heart pumps nails in my blood rail. That's Eminem putting him in, like you see Eminem with the Reggie T, and a lot of people outside of hip hop call it, this is how far Reggie took it. Do you know what I mean? Like to them levels. And he's so fucked up that he will do walk-bys. That's the thing that I loved, and do a drive-by, fuck that, a walk-by and spray shit, then carve my name in your pavement. I'm sorry, but rated R is outrageous. Does anybody have any thoughts on rated R? Is it in their 5s?
I removed rated R from my top 5 3 hours before this call.
Oh no! I was so close.
It was so close. There was one song that and honestly, I might actually like rated R a little more than the song I switched it with, but I feel like I needed to have some diversity. Like I told you, I had 3 of my songs are almost the same song.
Yes.
I'm like, I gotta have some diversity, and this song's probably as good as rated R, but it's different from everything that I'm picking. I want to show his diversity a little bit. A little, I still like a certain kind of red. So yeah, it's like right there for me. It's right there. But when I heard that song, ooh.
You know what? I haven't. You've actually sparked something in my brain. I need to go back and listen to what the album. Okay. Because I'm so stuck on albums 2, 3, 4. I need to revisit, because, like you said, the first album was a lot of energy. I love the Redman where it's hard, a bit smooth. Like when I like that Redman. Yeah, Redman first album. I do need to revisit it. But I love Tonight's Tonight, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, rated R. I always remember it being a good one.
Well, this is interesting because what the album is that I've noticed, I love it for that roughness. It is just an artist who isn't like fully formed yet, but his rhyming is, but his sonics are so, it's kind of a punk record. It's kind of quite punk, quite lo-fi, but also I think the funk in it is just a more of a noisy kind of bed, if you know what I mean. I don't know how to put it in a I haven't got the language.
I hear you.
But
I think he became a greater songwriter after that album. Is that you can, you know, you look at his catalog, it's when he started to write songs. And I think doing all those R&B remixes and, you know, being around an Eric Sermon, who's a key ingredient in terms of, you know, he was steel sharpened steel, and Redman was around some of the best.
Yeah, and I think that growth of Eric Sermon into the 90s, let's not sleep where Sermon went, kind of grew with Redman. Like Eric Sermon's changed, you know, from Headbanger and all the late 80s stuff. I think if people were talking about names that aren't named in conversations enough, I would definitely put Eric Sermon in there, because he formed so. I think he's probably the producer that showed me what more than Public Enemy, what late 80s hip hop was as a kid growing in the 90s. And it was his sound I was kind of gravitated to. And then to hear him on, you know, MTV Bass, like dropping these tracks like Music as well later. And I was like, yeah, this is, so yeah, I'd love to Eric Sermon, and
absolutely.
Yeah, do go check out our interview with him from about 5 years ago, but it was great when we had him on. So number 10 I've got here, right? Number 10, right? They say he switched his style up, but you're still a dick rider. I'm going to say, right, pick it up. I've got it at number 10 from 1996. Thoughts on Pick It Up before I go in? Anyone? Oh, Chris is it's in your 5 again.
Yes, in my 5, yo. It's in my 5. Listen,
go.
When Redman said, yes, coming from the north, south, east, west, hold your nose, take a deep breath, recess, we bless, mics 3 times a day, 3 times a night, it all equals subliminal sequels.
Laughing at MCs.
Listen, man, I was walking down the street, I had to put my hands on my hips like, what the hell is this, yo? Like,
yeah.
Huh? Listen, I'm going to share something, right? That song has stayed with me since I heard it. So I'm working on my new album, with Kaiser Smirnoff. He's producing it. Big up. And he sent me a beat, and he was just like, I want you to rhyme about taking a rest, just having a rest. And I call the song Recess, inspired by Pick It Up.
Oh.
So the chorus is, I need a recess, just one of the ways I can beat stress. So it's inspired by Redman. That particular song. Yeah. Pick it up. Nah, come on, bruv. Nah. Listen. He said, hold your nose, take a deep breath, recess, the rhyming couplets, the multis. Mm-hmm. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Please, don't mess with Mario Reggie, please. Leave him alone.
The punchlines, bro. The punchlines, your whole vocabulary is played out, admit it. Still whack if it came out of my mouth and I spit it. That is just all time for me. Kevin, Pick It Up. Where's that land for you?
It's got to be in at least my top 10. It's definitely one of the greats, for sure. Yeah, it's one of the ones that like I like listen to. Like, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, Redman. It's hard to pick because there's so many different ways to love what he does. But yeah, it's one of the great Redman tracks for sure.
Okay, I like that because there's this moment in that track, right? When I hear Pick It Up now, it's an iconic thing in WhatsApp now. I'll be thinking of something like Pick It Up. It's just a Redman reference I have now in my normal life, but also it's this journey of growth in between this song itself, because he is looking back retrospectively. I started that rah shit, all that shit. And yet, this is, I would call, the first verse might be Redman 2.0. This is the new Redman. This is the Redman of 96, who is that more accomplished, evolved, smoother and polished, rounded artist, but him also acknowledging where he's come from. I started that rah shit. I started it. Me and Buster were doing that. Do you know what I mean? And to see what rah shit, and I always rate Buster for this as well, which is that you can't just make a genre, but somehow he did, and Onyx came out of it, and it was like, oh yeah, these guys just made rah shit, and then loudy choruses ruled hip-hop for like 3 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were rowdy, loud, timber-landed out choruses, which I love. I've got a shouty chorus playlist, bruv. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at, right? So represent. Yeah, exactly. Represent.
I bet Onyx is on it like 4 times. You know, the whole Black Moon album, the whole first album got to be on there.
Of course. But for heads like us, it's just nice when you're older to kind of dissect and look at the lineage and look at the evolutionary kind of map and where it goes. And Pick It Up has this interesting journey in that for me. me, where it's like, no, but I remember this when I was 16 and like it was everywhere on MTV, but he's talking about where he came from. And it's nice to see that. And the first verse on that is probably one of my favorites of all time as well. I love that we got into pick it up. So number 9, right? Actually, no, let me just quickly go into the chat because number 9 I need to talk about. Need to get in. Right, okay. So let's have a look what people are saying. It's actually Let the Monkey Out. Sorry, Oz. There we go. Yes. Put the Monkey in It is a Daz Superfly song from the Nothing to Lose soundtrack. Interesting. This is where our heads are at. Jack P, Rated R is in my top 5. Boom. I've taken the approach of only representing an album once. Good idea. And then just pick 5 from there is Muddy Waters. And also ignored collab albums. Actually, I should shout that because him and Method Man have some of the best music ever. And I think it's a different conversation, them two together.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. We can't put Def Squad songs in these lists.
You can if you want to. It's your
I feel like that would be cheating. Yeah, I ain't gonna do that.
Yeah,
I avoided it too.
Yeah. And it's another 8 hours on my research, lads.
I love Def Squad though, man. I love Def Squad, man. Love them.
Absolutely. El Nino, let's go, man. Absolutely. But yeah, what else we got here? Pick It Up is in my 5 as well. So Jack P, Cam's going name by top 5 before he even gets close to his. I feel like if you've listened to any of our other top 5 shows, I never get this far in nail so many. So I'm glad that at least this wave is changing for me. So next up, we've talked for an hour about Reggie Noble and not mentioned weed once, which is, I think, a failure on my part as a host here. But so I think number 9 represents all of that for me. And it's How to Roll a Blunt from 1992. Now, it's Redman over a Pete Rock beat, which is incredible. Shout out to anyone in the chat, shout out to anyone who's listening, shout out to the guests. If anyone can name me their best kind of weed smoking songs. If you don't smoke, fair enough. If you do smoke, like what are the best songs about weed, or would you like to smoke too? Hit us up, craig@g1.com. I'll shout you out. I think this is just one of the best top 10 ever of just rolling to, because it's just one of the most educational songs he's ever written. Because he's literally like, here's an instruction manual for 13-year-olds who you've been smoking weed. No, what you want to check is blunts. And that thing of you are doing what Cypress Hill have done, but you're not making it. The song isn't all about that, if you know what I mean. It has this beat to it, which is just one of the best beats I think he's ever rode. And big up the damn horns, are deceivingly powerful horns on there, I thought. And just the way he's so dead serious on this moment where he's talking about someone how about the non-blunting rolling females that break their nails when they're rolling the blunts? And he's like, sorry, Red, for spilling it. He goes, you better pick up every seed of it. And he's like really angry that his weed has been thrown on the floor, and it just oozes character. There are random ad-libbed growls all over the song, and I don't know why. They just are there, and it's this kind of fun just like moment of, there's again shouty, like, you know, just oh shit, the way it comes in, and just the end where you see it dry, light it with your lighter if you got the results proper. And as a bit of a smoker myself, it just feels like I have to put this in there. There's quite a few. He kind of does a lot of these songs kind of thing, but I think How to Roll a Blunt is just that shouty chorus 1992 vibe where there's just not much nuance to it. It's more like boom, here's how you roll one. Anybody have any thoughts on how to roll a blunt, or have it up and around their 5s anywhere?
It's not in my top 5 or anything, but here's the thing. I'm a pretty diverse in what I listen to and what I like, but sometimes with certain artists, I have certain things that I attach to. And so that's a song. Like when I think about Redman, I don't think about those kind of songs. I don't go to Redman to those kind of songs. So when I listen to an album, I appreciate that song's dope. Oh, okay, everything you're saying, that sounds how I remember it too. But when you say favorite songs, I would never even think of that, because that's not the Redman that clicks on for me. Like, oh, that's why I love Redman. So I have to go back and listen to it. I might even be missing how skillful it is because of the concept. I want him just to rap about being great at rapping. If he did that forever, I'd be fine with that. And he's one of the few. Like, some people will get boring, but he would never be boring rapping about rapping.
Interesting.
He's never boring doing that. And so I always like, where is he going to rap about rap? I'll skip till I find that. So that's
I like where Redman fans, what spaces they occupy, because they're so different at times. That's brilliant. Chris, any thoughts on that song?
I listen to the song. I appreciate, you know what? That song is about depth and simplicity, because I think sometimes it's a weed smoking song. I don't smoke. So sometimes I can't relate on a personal level to the content, but what I can appreciate is a conceptual song. And it's a conceptual song that's written very well. And any writer can attest to those songs aren't easy to write. So, I think sometimes Redman might be overlooked for just how conceptual he can actually get. When you look at his album, I think, There Is a Darkside to me is a conceptual album. The Dr. Trevis, these concepts running through his entire career. But yeah, how to, I really appreciate it, man. It's education, man. It's whether you smoke or not, he's giving you the instruction manual,
Yeah. There was Rage. Say that again.
Mum and Dad weren't giving it to you. Redman was.
Bro, this is what I'm saying. There was Rage, Cypress, and Redman. They were the educational, this is what you do. And Meth obviously occupied that same space when they were together on How High and all that. Just interesting because obviously in smoking circles, this is what Redman is kind of known for. Almost like, oh shit, I smoked with a lot of college students.
Most of them wasn't graduating and they knew it. You know the weed slang, yeah, boy. I speak it fluent. I like that. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one.
So this side of what Red, he has different pools of fans, clearly. And it's interesting, you have the hardcore Timberland crew, you have the clubbed out crew, and then you have the smokers. So yeah, no, this is Redman, the character occupying a lot of different spaces. So number 8 then. Number 8, I think this might hit 5. I hope we do with this one. Let's get funky like cottage cheese, because we're going to Tonight's the Night from 1993. Is this on anyone's 5? Anyone consider it for their 5s? Oh, Chris, we are getting on. We are getting on. Tonight's the Night. Like I said, the first Redman album I ever heard was Muddy Waters, but when I went back and I started watching the videos and I started watching the singles, I think Redman, Kevin mentioned the fact that, Redman, he listens to Redman for rapping about rapping. And I think I fall into that kind of category. But what I will appreciate about Reginald Noble, and please, I would say to listeners, this man can make a really good, catchy single too. Yeah. He can make, I listen to Tonight's the Night and I'm like, and then when Hurricane G comes in and it just starts again, and then the way he delivers his verse after that with a bit more snap to it, it's like, those are the subtleties? The subtleties I listen for. So he starts it, it's cool. Then she's like, nah, and she comes in, and then that's when the song starts. The sample, it's just, I think it's one of the quintessential Redman singles, and I absolutely love it. I could listen to it any time of day or night, any season, whatever. Kevin?
It's not in my top, but but you picked on something I wanted to mention at some point in here, is that Redman is one of the greatest also to me at being super skillful and not sacrificing it on his singles. So many artists who are so talented with sacrificing on their singles, and he did not. He picked the singles where there's plenty of times where the single, the main album single has some of the best lyrics on the album. Yeah. And that's almost unheard of. Yeah. That's very rare. That's one of the more rare things in hip hop.
Yeah. Now you said it. He is a bit of a unicorn. There are only a few people that really have done that so well for so long, if you know what I mean. Like even on Dirty.
His whole career.
Yeah.
His whole career has been like that. His singles are some of the best lyrics on his albums. That's his whole career. And that's
straight up.
That's not normal.
Straight up.
Yeah. And I think what Tonight's the Night does that, and it is 93, so it's quite early in his career, but the way he rides that beat is a signifier of where he goes later in his career. It's smooth, gutter, funky, all at the same time. And I think this is one of the evolutionary steps towards that, him becoming more like kind of rounded and just being so much more like easy to switch lanes. And I think he just touches a lot of bases with stuff on this song. The Hurricane G thing, I'm so glad it's so knowing to think that he's about hardcore shit. He's like, yo, Redman, what the fuck? Like that whole moment of like, what I'm sure a lot of listeners were listening and doing the same thing. Like, hold on a minute, what is this beat? Do you know what I mean? And as it is, as I was young, I don't know if people were doing that kind of thing or a lot. I know a lot did it afterwards, but that kind of tells you everything about Redman, where he kind of was starting shit. And one of the best verses, Redman verse contenders, absolutely, is verse 2 on there, where it's just like, you want to see me cool, please save it for the breeze. All that moment when he's kicking off and like, what's he say here? Fuck the smooth shit, I get down with the boom bip like Q-tip, I kick more stars than Bruce Shoes kick. what just that those kind of like little couplets he's coming in with on this song, yeah, absolutely amazing. And I think Eric Sermon, I looked this up because he said I didn't know he was going to like this kind of beat. So even Eric Sermon at the time was like, I don't know, hardcore, is it going to work? And the fact that Redman's got that kind of creativity, be like, no, let's go for it. It's kind of vibing in this song. Like, I said, no, let's just do it. Let's go for it. And I love that he's just going for it and landing on, yeah, like you said, probably one of the most significant singles, I think, in his career. Number seven, let's go. 1994 again. Yes, Redman be saying some shit. We've already alluded to it earlier. We are going to Can't Wait from 1994. Has anyone got Can't Wait in their fives? Is it Jesus Christ? I think Chris. How many we've got of yours here, Chris?
I think you've got five. You know? No, not five. Three. You got three. I think you got three.
Okay. We got.
Yeah, you might have three.
Can't Wait. Tonight's the Night, and there was another one before that, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, so Can't Wait. We talk about 5 moments on this show, about moments of perfection, and I think Can't Wait is a moment of perfection, the song. I don't know why it's at 7 when I say that, but it is absolutely just right up there for me. Chris, tell me why it's in your 5.
It's just, you know what, Cam? It was about a month ago. I haven't listened to There Is a Darkside in a while, and my wife just had this song on repeat in the house. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, yo, you know, like, it was like the song activated a chamber and just reminded me of when I first heard it. And I always love the line where he says, you can't see me like Charlie Angel's boss. Like, dude, it's just, I think, again, this is testament to Redman's skill. When you can make a punchline, get a reaction, sound original, not be too kind of over the head, but also make people think, how I never thought of that. Like, he's just got this gift, and I just love his pop culture references throughout his career. And again, like we just said with Kevin, like Can't Wait is a great single, yo. Can't wait together. It's like you don't hear that song, I think, commercial record. I think this is just a great song, and I think it's testament to him, you know, I think his evolution as a songwriter. And I think that's not something that Reggie Noble doesn't get credit for enough, is that he's an incredible songwriter, yo.
And do you know what? Sorry, Kevin, before I jump to you, I was going to say, you know about 1994 as well? What I've just thought about, like what Dre had done, what Tribe had done, what De La Soul before them guys had done, is let these artists around 94, 95 do what they want to do. And it was huge at the same time, as in, like, Can't Wait doesn't like he's going for the charts. It doesn't sound like, it felt like at that time people trusted hip hop and just said, you know what, you're Eric Sermon, you're Redman, here's some money, just make the fucking album and then come back. And then it's like, this is what we've got. And they're not pushing for anything, it feels like. And Can't Wait feels like it encapsulates that time period for me when hip hop was trusted to just go off and do stuff before the money started probably becoming more of an overriding factor in especially more popular hip hop. But maybe that's the nature of the beast. But yeah. And do you know what? You said this line earlier, Kevin, about switching up speed like Bruce Lee riding a Fuji in the movie. If he just said that line, he'd have just said that line and heads would have liked it and loved it. But I honestly think the emphasis and foresight and the humour to say what he would have said when the mic's off, where he's like, yeah, you know what I just said? And he said, if he laugh now and then figure that shit out later, that's the moment that transcends the song for me as a kid. Because I didn't hear many people going, did you not hear what I just said? Like, we weren't doing that. We were like, you're catching this coded language or you're not. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're into Cuban links or you're not. And it's like, yeah. And this guy's like, no. If you didn't get that, that's what we're talking about over here. Over here, this is what gets us excited. And it's kind of like a gateway for, like, yeah, that's what hip hop is, if you know what I mean. Kevin, did you have any thoughts on Can't Wait? Is it around your 5 anywhere?
Here's the problem. About 60% of Dare the Darkside is in the running for my top 5.
Right.
Which is fair. Right. Which is fair.
So what I did was let me just strip it down and think and listen to this in my head as an a cappella album. That's how I try to think about it. Let me only think about Redman as a lyricist, and I'm picking Redman's top 5 only based on if it was an a cappella album. You know, and I try to think about that, but in a certain sense. So It could be in any given day, yes, but no, it did not make it. Is my point.
Okay, no, but that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
I love what Kevin said. Kevin is 100% right. Like, you could literally just take a whole Redman album and it can qualify for top. Like, it really can. And bruv, he's just too good. Man.
It pained me. And I didn't want to disclose information because I felt a bit too... my list is like 30 songs long, 35 songs long. I didn't want to talk about it because there's a running joke about me doing these extensive lists and, you know, spanning these things out. But Muddy Waters, yes, you're, you know, all that. There's so many songs on there where I was like, the bump, how's the bump not getting in here? So
Ruff.
I was upset at myself, you know,
Ruff.
thinking...
You see that Muddy Waters album, yeah? I don't mean to go off on it, bruv. It's like that. Like, dude, the ill out. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Listen, what's that? Just do what you feel and never
I was like, do what you feel. I was going to say, do what
Listen,
you feel.
you see when Method Man came, when he said, we want to flip with the acrobatic from ground zero all the way at... Nah, listen, man.
This is what I'm saying.
I was so glad I was outside. You know? I'm so glad I was outside, man. I'm so glad. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
You see these blessings when you get older, innit? Where you're like, oh,
listen,
yeah, I'm so glad I was there for that.
Muddy Waters album and that cover is my favorite cover ever. Imagine going into the shop and seeing that for the first time. Like, what the hell? Look what you did to your Timberlands, man. What did you do? Bruv?
No, I'm one of the people that I'm so into the music that I can appreciate art, but I don't even think about art that much. I'm just like, where's the music? I'll look right past it. But that cover's one of my favorite covers of all time, along with Hijack's cover. The Hijack cover, the Muddy Waters, and the King T Active Fool are three of my favorite covers of all time.
And also, when you look at you look at DMX's second album, Flesh of My Flesh. I'm sure they took some inspiration from that Muddy Waters cover. They had to.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of there is Darkside coming from Funkorama. There's this kind of history with his music, if you know what I mean. And I love that. Man. I love that he's calling back to the 70s stuff that I was nowhere near aware of. As I've got older, I've been like, oh my God, no wonder I love Redman and Eric Sermon because of Funkorama. But so I like how his music and career kind of informs my history of like loving all that. But I think what's interesting about what you just said there about the album cover, I said this on the 3 album episode where I was like, you know what's interesting, if you were to really analytically like look at it and not what Kevin does, but I'm just like, you know, I want to really look at it. I was like, you've got What the album where he's got no face and he's like underground, he's so underground. Then you got There Is Darkside where he's literally underground. And then I was like, oh, Muddy Waters is him literally climbing out of the underground and sitting and chilling with the mud still on him. And that's kind of where his music goes. It goes from underground to overground, and but the
still got the dirt on it.
The overground still got still got the dirt on it. So I don't know if he thought that much about that, but if you were looking at,
I have to think so. It can't be a coincidence. I can't believe.
Someone's got to ask him. Any one of us speak to Redman, we got to ask him.
Him that, exactly, absolutely. So I love there's this just kind of evolution to it as well. And yeah, just I watched that video again the other day, and I was like, that's where he's nobody in hardcore hip hop, right, in '94 especially, is wearing a clear shower cap in his video. Like, I was just watching. He's got a bin liner on, and he's what?
Dude, he don't care. He had tissue in his nose, bruv.
He's got tissue in his nose. So you see, visually, Redman's right there. Visually, like he's in the scenario video. Do you know what I mean? He's in the scenario video as well. So you got him like where he's like, I don't know, he's in a baby's crib. So there's that Buster kind of overflow as well, where he's becoming a child, and at some moments reminded me of Fear of a Black Cat. Like I was like, this is Fear of a Black Cat inspired by some of this, absolutely. And Bob James, absolutely, Sam Porter as well. Had to just shout out Bob James there as well. And he does these things. He does these flourishes, Chris, I know as an MC you'll love, where it's like dum-de-dum, rock la bourgeois bantan, soup like wonton, funk by the... like the way he just effortlessly goes into this kind of different patois flow or something. Yeah.
And as a Jamaican, I will say that some of my favorite rappers haven't really delivered the Jamaican patois to an acceptable standard. Right. Redman being one of the few.
Okay. I like that.
Redman and KRS-One and Buster, obviously, because he's Jamaican. Buster does it the best.
Buster does it well. He does do it well. I'm glad that we got there as well. Right, so number 6. Let me have a quick swig of water before we jump in. Right, let's do this. Number 6. Right, we're almost at the 5, guys. We're doing really well for time today. This is what I'm talking about. I'm getting good at this, guys. It only took me a few years. Right, number 6. Number 6. This is Redman, the producer, at his wacky, just wacky and scary, actually scary best, where on Rated R, he kind of foresees this kind of horrorcore thing where on one of his verses is just kind of rhyming about Rated R flicks. As the horror nerd in me, that's right up there for me when someone can do that really well. But instead of just, he doesn't explicitly do it on this song. In this song, it just is a horror film, and it's Rockafella. I've got Rockafella at 1994 in number 6. Now, does anybody have any thoughts? Is Rockafella anywhere in the 5s for you peeps?
It was one of the ones that I was debating today. That one when I moved out rated R, I was thinking I was going to face with Rockafella or a different one. It was between that and a different one, and the other one went out. So it almost was in the top 5 today, but didn't quite make it. Okay, Chris.
Love the remix. Great, but love the remix. I prefer the remix.
Interesting.
Not in my top 5. I also remember Rise. I don't know if you remember the rapper Rise from the Demigods. He did a sick freestyle over the Rockafella remix beat. Sick. Okay. Absolutely sick. Shout out to him too.
Usually we have a Demigods reference siren here in this show, because usually it's one of the one guys who comes on, Ray. He just always talks about Demigods. There'll be some Demigods. So you've done it somehow. It's not, I tried to get him off the show, so I have to Demigods. It's a reference that we have. We haven't got.
I'm a massive Demigods fan.
Okay, there we go. You're allowed.
Great. I'm a huge Rise fan. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's dope.
You guys are allowed back on again, absolutely. So this is the thing about Redman on Rockafella, and this was my number 1 for a long time in my life, mainly because of where he was, and he comes out, he doesn't like this album anymore. He doesn't play any of it on his set. I think he might play 1 or 2 songs. Doesn't play in his sets. It was not a good time for Redman, so I just want to acknowledge that with Rockafella, because it comes from darkness, but it's probably his biggest artistic statement in that way. As in, he is him, but he's also experimenting with obviously on mushrooms, and he gets even grittier and darker on this kind of altered state that it absolutely is encapsulated in the song. And he's got the rhymes like "you who watch the birdie while ready wreck your brains early," like that all that kind of battle rapping is still in it. It's not totally different, but right. It's that moment where you're taking Leon Hayward, not many years after it became massively famous in G-Funk, and taking that sample and just completely making it your own. In 1994, I didn't notice. I noticed that when someone was reusing a sample, and I was like, well, no, the other one does it better. Snoop did it better. But it's so haunting and funky, and it leads to what I would call is my favorite outro in a rap song ever. And people out there, please let us know in the chat yourselves favorite outros in hip hop. But it's so trippy that if you want to hear a bunch of rap artists that are so off their rocker, listen to this cut and the way it goes out, where he's just going, word is bomb, word is dead. That I didn't even know what he was saying as a kid, and he kept saying it. He didn't stop. He just kept going, word is bomb. And I was like, this guy, is this allowed? Is anybody checking on this guy in the studio? Is anybody going, I think Redman, I think we need to have a word with him, like intervention or something.
Or call HR.
Call HR, absolutely.
I used to wonder if that was inspired by UTFO, actually. The song Bite It. At the end of the song Bite It, they do a thing with like they're doing that funny voice and doing the Bite It, and it's going on and on.
Oh.
I don't even know what to say. Like it's like a skit at the end of Bite It. I always wonder if you got that from the idea from Bite It.
I never knew this.
Another question for Redman. Another question. We got to ask him.
I didn't have to ask him that question. I wasn't thinking of. Oh no, that was now. Yes, I didn't have the question I asked. That's right. Yeah.
Do you know what, Kevin? I never have heard that song. I now need to listen to that song. That's amazing. Thank you for that, Paul, because it's just going to probably translate the feeling of what I felt of this. But for years, for decades, I've heard it as just this guy just hypnotizing me with this mantra he's coming out with, and that's the ending. The way I love how Redman comes in on the song, like the way he comes out that sinister funk with this kind of broken up flow, it's just not the Redman I was expecting. And his in rap, I think he's got one of the best in rap. Like he just goes like the way he comes in.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's got that rhyme in, man.
I mean, to that point of UTFO, he is so great at like mixing in that early '80s influence of his. Right. He brings it to it like that's that Melly Mel. He knows how to bring it into the '90s. He did that so well throughout his career always honoring the people before him. He's like, I always admired him for that he always made sure he had, like, for people. So someone like me who was listening to rap since 79, I get all kinds of reference. I imagine a lot of Redman fans don't get. Because a lot of times he's talking about early 80s rap stuff in his lyrics.
So interesting. I didn't know that. Again, I'm going to school right now. This is what I'm talking about. I should have bought packed lunch. Let's just have a quick look at the chat before I go into my 5. Let's see what people are saying here. Okay, not sure why, but one Smoker's song I immediately went to is Weeded by Loot Pack. It says Oz, a great early Madlib production. That's a great pull as well. Rated R just beats Tonight's the Night under my rules, says Jack P. Can't Wait is in my 5, says Jack P. And by far my favourite Redman track. I know there's people out there. Those people definitely are out there. That is their favourite. Aaron, Tonight's the Night is 100% in my top 5. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. I know what we're doing here. Redman was doing Can't See Me bars almost a decade before John Cena, says Oz. A wrestling reference for you, Chris. He's the wrestling guy over here. Jack P, Can't Wait is bars on bars on bars. Absolutely, it really is. Can't Wait is probably my favourite Redman track, says Aaron. Rah Rah Like I Had Cerebral Palsy always gets me for some reason. And rhyming Boba Fett with Husin projects. With housing projects, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think about that. That's so true. I bought Muddy Waters after hearing Red on All Eyes on Me, says Oz. I'm sure a lot of people did. Actually. I'm sure a lot of people did. I didn't like it initially. I was more used to G-Funk production. Yeah. There's a definite clear difference. So what does he say? Obviously, my thoughts have changed. Demigod's reference there, Oz with the Klaxons. Aaron, an aside of what happened to Rise, haven't heard anything from him in ages, or have I missed this somehow? I don't know what's happened to Rise. Maybe the Demigod's heads can tell me. But let's go, right? Top five time. Number 5, I have... probably the most insane production on any Redman song. I love this song. One of the best bass lines in his whole catalogue. Jam for You. I've got Jam for You from 1992. Now, it's Jam for You on anyone's 5s. Oh, Kevin, we're here.
Okay, I was worried that I am famous for being like, my favorites always like don't match anyone. That's kind of my thing.
Okay.
Jam for You, and I know there's a personal reason why, but Jam for You might be my number 1.
Oh, why? Why is that? Why is it? To me,
what I described earlier about my kind of Redman song, that's the first one that defined it. So when I said earlier how I met Redman, that's the song that I heard before his album was out. Def Jam did a promo like summer 90, whatever year that was, like 92 or whatever, spring, summer 92. VHS promo tape. And this guy, Rano Jello in Chicago, he had a show on radio in Champaign, Illinois. And I would go there and help him out sometimes. So I saw this video, and all I had heard was just him on the EPMD album, Hardcore and Brothers on Your Jock, Brothers on My Jock. But they showed a clip. It was a video for Jam for You. This, like, I think it was just one verse. Only saw the one time. It's just like a little video clip of Jam for You. And that's what I saw. I think it also like later showed Blow Your Mind being the first single, but it showed, I think, first was Jam for You. It might have been reversed, but those 2 songs. And that one I was like, to this day, that was probably the first time I was so mind blown that was never a single. I'm like, they got a video for, I've seen a video. How was it not a single? I was mind blown that it wasn't a single to this day. Like I probably should announce something still idea. I had this mixtape idea of doing a mixtape of like, kind of like a hindsight A&R of songs that should have been singles. Yeah. And Jam for You is a song that inspired that mixtape.
Oh, wow.
It's funny you mentioned that, Kevin, because I'm a podcast producer. That's one of the ideas I scribbled down. Should have been a single.
Oh,
it's not surprising anyone had that idea.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. Let's talk about there's a few of those songs.
Let's build these bridges right now. I want to hear this podcast series. Absolutely. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. You're right. You're absolutely right. Chris, did you have any thoughts on Jam for You?
No thoughts on Jam for You.
It's that first album, isn't it?
It's the first album, man. Yeah. I just remember a line with the press rewind, if I haven't blown your mind. I remember being a kid, I'm like, that sounded so good.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That was dope.
Do you know which one stuck out to me was the dung, dung, da, dung, dung, ding, extremely wild at the hair on Don King. I was like, whoa. Like, that Redman is not playing. this is the first verse is such a smooth flow. And you can't help but rock to it. And just even the bit that Tribe sampled, without question, I'm flexing like I'm sexing, wicked when I kick it like Tribe called Questing. And they sampled that. This is Tip knows where he's coming from. And obviously the scenario video, of course. And I think the thing that Jam For You does possibly the best display. It's a very chaotic album, but it's a very chaotic song, as in there's a lot of different moving parts to this song. But Eric Sermon, being the genius that he is, doesn't do too much and doesn't do not enough. He's just found that right balance where if he'd done a bit too much, about this is a bit noisy. And the other way, it's just it keeps you guessing kind of thing. If it keeps me guessing as a listener, to hear Redman riding this tidal wave of a shifting soundscape, right, beneath him, but riding it, like chasing that beat. I just think something about this is just so special. I don't get it in many other things. He talks about selling out on here as well. And this made me laugh at like, we have what 90s rap song would you play to an alien to define hip hop? And this was in my five because I was like, well, aliens need to know about how chaotic a song can get, and also that selling out was a thing. I know he does it a few other times we've talked about already, but this was a moment. Yeah, aliens need to know this was an actual thing in hip hop. So yeah, Jam For You at my number 5. Now number 4 for me. This one's so close to my heart, I might cry during this one. This makes me think of a time when I was a kid, right, and feeling like I just didn't give a shit. Like I didn't care. I was so apathetic at times about things. And I think this song itself is a lot about it is the apathy to stuff, but dressed up in this fun way of just disregarding anything and everything. And it's Whateva Man featuring Eric Sermon from 1997. So further down a line in his career, but your boombox better form a union because Redmax leaves the circuits overworked. Like, these are the moments I live for Redman. And then at the same time, he's just talking. And now I look at it and I think maybe aliens need to know about this song because, one, it's the birth of Method Man and Redman as a duo for me, purely because of the video. The video made me think of these two as a thing now. These two are going to do a thing. Even though it's not on the song, he carries that video. Best videos of the hip-hops of the 90s. Please let us know, by the way, call out there. But I also thought in 1997, there has been this wave of Richard Linklater films, of Generation X, slacker culture, kind of flooding the mainstream. There is this kind of apathy towards things in these, because people are doing okay, but also just not giving a shit. And it's just Whateva Man. And it's just Whateva Man. It's that title just screamed that how I felt at the time. And this song is just a signpost of the 90s era in that way. And I'm not even going to talk about the production yet because I need to know what you guys think to Whateva Man. Is it in anyone's 5 or around their 5s? No.
It's not in my top 5, but it's one of my all-time favorite Redman songs.
Interesting.
The quality is so high. It's like just even saying Whateva Man is not. It's like some people might say that's mad. The song is incredible. Listen, ooh la la la. Like, I love it, bro. Like, and I love what you talk about. How you talk about the 90s kind of the slacker kind of culture, the apathy. I remember watching ECW a lot in the late 90s, and Rob Van Dam had this. It wasn't outright, but he had this kind. He alluded because I knew he was a weed smoker, and he would always be in his promos like Whateva Man. So I think I remember watching ECW, and anytime Rob Van Dam said Whateva Man, it always reminded me of Redman. So you've actually kind of busted me on something, talking about how that song kind of represents a certain culture and a certain mind state of apathy and just kind of, to hell with everything, Whateva Man. It's a great song. Eric Sermon's production on that, Eric Sermon's production, man.
It's unbelievable.
You know when Eric Sermon said Funk Lord Productions, he meant it. He meant it. Listen.
Yeah.
He meant it.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, you see when that's what produced by Eric Sermon for Funk Lord Productions, I knew what time it was immediately.
I like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, he meant it. He meant it.
Kevin, what do you think? Whateva Man.
It's not in my. Chris's answer was pretty much perfect. It's not in my top, but it probably should be. It's like it's great. It's like you're making me want to go back and listen to it and think I messed up. So I feel like that, like, man, Maybe I didn't listen to that one. Maybe I was distracted when that one came on this week. But yeah, it's right up there. It's right up there.
It's high, man.
It's a bit of an anthem in my personal life, but it's that kind of when you realise the kind of what I loved about the production. Obviously, Eric Sermon brings a lot of different things, but I find it almost like a skeletal funk. It's nowhere near what the album. It's 5 years later, 4 years later. It is nowhere near that kind of sound for me. But the fact that Eric Sermon is so deep in the game and he's still helping form what smoked out hip hop sounds like. You got Cypress Hill, obviously you got Dr. Dre, you got Hyro, I would say as well. And I think that Eric Sermon was dipping in and out of that as well. This man's kind of helped form genres for breakfast. That's what he was doing. Yeah. Right? This is just this.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite Eric Sermon era. That 94 to 96, 7. Eric Sermon was moving like an absolute nut job. Absolute man. Like you listen to Enigma. Keith Murray had Dilla and Eric Sermon in their prime, producing for you.
Yeah, Ruff. Yeah.
What are you? Mad.
Yes.
Mad.
Yeah.
Eric Sermon as a producer, top 10. Mad.
Yes. And do you know what he does really well on this as the producer and knowing how, kind of play his part and to play, the artists play their part? It's a 1-2 with Sermon. It's not a my verse, your verse, my verse, your. It's a 1-2 with him and it just works. And the it's like that interpolation thing of like interpolation, even should I say, of that thing of the boom, the bomb, diggy, 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 bomb, but that whole moment of it. It kind of just makes it a proper earworm as well. And just that, this is the song where he says, I smoked with a lot of college students that we talked about. And that was a moment for me where I was like, oh yeah, like hip hop has raided the college dorm rooms, like in my existence. This is what's done now. And he's been around since that hardcore apex, and I think that just being relatable, this is where he also says, I got my ass whooped when I had my first brawl. And you're like, okay, this is interesting. Now we're talking about someone I can relate to and is funny and is in college room, and Keith Murray's in the video, like rhyming with him, and it's just like, that video is all time for me. It's just one that helped lifted the song for me, if you know what I mean. And just whatever, man. I do it to this day when things get on top, and I'm just like, whatever, man. It's just I can't do this today. I cannot.
That tune mash up my school. When Muddy Waters dropped, December '96, we were in school. Nah, January '97, it was a rap. Yeah, it was a rap. That song.
I should have been at your school. My school was mad. My school was mad. It was mad. So Jack P over here, my 5 are Can't Wait, Pick It Up, Rated R, Right Now, and Diggy Doc. Okay, I want to talk about a few of them before I've still got my 3 to go, but that is a very strong, and I want to hear about why Right Now and Diggy Doc are in there, because I got Rated R, I can see that. Pick It Up, I can see that. Right Now, Jack P, let us know. Right, number 3 then. Right, going back to 1992 now, I've got, I don't know if this is going to be in people's 5s, but let's go. I've got So Rough from 1992. What the album? It's just one of my favourite. It encapsulates a lot of different things about Redman I love. But does anybody have it? Any considerations? I'm guessing Chris knows 'cause it's his first album, but
again, it's not in my top 5, but it's one of those things where like, it's what I was saying. Like, it's a song where he's being a little more conceptual. He's talking about something. It kind of goes topically a little different than the rest of that album. Mm-hmm. And so I always appreciate it. I probably would appreciate it more now, actually. I actually didn't go back to that one to even consider it, to be honest. I probably should have. I probably would like that song better now that I think about it. It's been a long time since I heard it, but I'm remembering, like, he's touching on some things there that he doesn't really touch on many other places. Yes. And I was just back then. I was a battle rap guy. I was a cypher guy. Back then. I wanted to battle everybody. So I was only looking for those songs. So I appreciated other stuff, but I would just key in on the things where you're just getting busy.
Yes, I feel you.
So Rough was kind of like stepped right outside of that. So I bet I would go back, and that's probably one of my favorite songs now. If I went back, I would guess.
Interesting.
Now that I'm thinking about it in hindsight.
Yeah. What are you saying, Chris?
I mean, I feel the same. It's just I have to go back and listen to What the Album, man. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is. I recognize it as a classic. It's like Redman's worst is probably light years ahead. I'm not saying it's his worst album, but if Redman on a bad day is still light years ahead of everyone else. So I need to go. I think it's just not that Eric Sermon. How do I put this now? You know, I think in terms of his genius, I think from that second album onwards, that's when I was like, yeah, this is it. It's the same thing with Pete Rock and CL Smooth. I love Mecca and the Soul Brother, but put that main ingredient on. Come on, man.
Yeah, so this is interesting. The eras of Sermon and Redman and people,
and it's introductions. It's introductions. It's like I first heard Muddy Waters. That's my introduction as going to the shop. It's the same thing with It Was Written. Like, I know Illmatic is a better album, but It Was Written is my favorite Nas album. It's the first one I heard.
The first one you heard. And that's that imprint it leaves, right? It leaves an imprint in your soul kind of thing. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But you also touch on something different too. You're touching on that something that a lot of those times that first album is just an artist's raw talent.
Absolutely.
The album is raw talent. They absolutely, Redman and Eric Sermon got better at making songs and putting songs together and putting albums. They got better at album 2 and on, for sure. But there is a raw element that he didn't necessarily lose. That's a thing. A lot of people, when they do that, they lose the raw element. Redman refined the approach, but kept the raw element.
Yeah, and I think you don't.
And what's just the raw element? Yeah.
And you don't get Muddy Waters on none of that without that first album. So I have to recognize it and I have to salute it, even though it's not my favorite. Salute.
But because it's raw. Because it's his first album, it's his introduction to the game. His subject matter is far broader on what the album. I would say listen to that because it is far broader than where he goes to Muddy Waters, where it's battle rap, weed rap, like, you know, funk, just like that, riding the beat. This So Rough, it's the cartoon Redman. It's a tough thing to say. It's the enlightened clown jester is what I'd say on So Rough, who opts for the bizarre, ludicrous instead of the heavy and dark. And that's what I love, the decision he made, where this is what we talked about earlier, the humor, he's grasping at those kind of things, but the comedy in these bars is kind of tragic. He's got fart sounds in here, he's got a lot of what Eminem would go on to do, he would. And then you got this all over the block, because I walk all over the block because my stomach's in a knot, it growls 24 hours a day around the TikTok. So he has this kind of moment of, he's hungry. This guy's actually genuinely hungry. And then I guzzle water down from a hydrant. My mum's taking a bath and my brother's next to diving. Gives you that image of like how hard it is from growing up. But then he goes, I got to think of a plan so I can eat. I haven't had a cracker for weeks and my mouth leaks. This isn't Redman from 96. This isn't 96. This is Redman talking about just how fucking hard his life is. Do you know what I mean? But in a way where he's talking about, like, he's doing, like, the way he's guzzling from a hydrant is still cartoonish, if you know what I mean. And him opting for that. And then he has that kind of safe sex message as well, which is very prevalent at that time as well. And that Parliament, just that flashlight, just that sample on this, it's dripping with a dirty funk. It's not a clean, subtle, smooth funk. This is filthy funk. And it's this swampy quicksand. It's like quicksand, this album. It's abrasive.
It's Funklord Productions, bro. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's perfect though. It's quicksand, and then and the next album, where's he at?
Exactly.
Yeah.
His next exactly.
Word.
Exactly.
Word.
Yes. See, this is what I mean about like the minutiae of 90s hip hop and where we've come from with this culture. And then you have the impeccable, beautiful funk of DJ Quick, of Dr. Dre, Daz Dillinger doing this impeccable funk. And then you've got Sermon trying this kind of funk. And it's rough, it's not perfect, but because it's like that, I just think it's just more pure in a weird way. It just feels like a more pure version. And I just think, wow, the stuff he's saying on this song, you've just got to, where, what's he say here now? Like, yeah, even the intro. I was listening to this. Why have I slept on this intro where they're talking about murders in the black community, and then he's almost threatening the guy that he's going to smack him up in the face? It's almost Ice Cube. This is almost Ice Cube you're starting this song off with. So, yeah.
No, I assume that record was West Coast. That song I assume was West Coast influence.
It feels like that. It feels
makes
like
sense, right? With what EPMD were doing, because I remember Eric Sermon saying in an interview, like, they used to get love on the West Coast because of what they were sampling.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so, it makes sense. And also, you just reminded me of something, Cam, before I want to share this with the audience. To this day, you know the throw your hands in the air remix, Cypress Hill? Mm-hmm. I swore that was an Eric Sermon beat. When I checked the credits, it was DJ Muggs.
It's Muggs, yeah. It's Muggs, yeah.
I was like, nah, that's Eric Sermon, yo.
Yeah.
That's Eric Sermon, yo.
But
and it's DJ Muggs.
Muggs is the chameleon. Muggs is the production.
Dude. Chameleon Listen, you see when I meet DJ Muggs, I'll say, yo, why'd you do that, man? I love the song. Why? Like that's come on, man.
But we have a section on the show, and I know the show is already really long, so I don't want to go into it too much. But people out there, one of the things I have is DJ Muggs on your Rushmore producers? And if not, why not? Because he is on mine. Like I think DJ Muggs is an all-time great. What he's doing now only will be realised later in life. It's like the late Bob Dylan albums, the late kind of Paul McCartney albums. People are like, yeah, that was pretty well. No, listen back. There is some absolute gems on there, and Muggs is still doing it. 2022, he's bringing stuff up. No, 23, just for Mayhem and Madlib.
I bought all them joints, man. I love Muggs.
Love that.
He holds a special place in production history.
Yes, absolutely. He gets dinner as well. I'll buy him dinner too.
Brilliant. Right, 2 more left then, guys. I want to see if I can get one of yours with this. Right, number 2 for me, we're going back to the There Is a Darkside with this one, was my number 1. To be fair, changed it around this week. Probably the first bass line I think of when I think of Muggs. When I think of Eric Sermon and Redman. One of the first songs I think I thugged out to in my room by myself. It's When I Come Around.
Love that song.
Right. I don't know where people are with When I Come Around.
It's the Redman dilemma. It can be there. For me, it can absolutely.
We've established this, haven't we? We've established there is this dilemma. Was it no one's 5 When I Come Around? Anyone's 5?
No. That was the one. I held it back because I'm pretty sure when you posted on Twitter a few weeks ago, you mentioned When I Come Around. Mm-hmm. And so I went back and listened to all the ones that you listed. And that was the one I was like, I am tripping. That's what I replaced. That was my last one. I had it right before this call. When I Come Around. That was the one that I wanted something different. It's more of it's the fastest song in my top 5. All my other ones are slow Redman. It's not super fast, but it's a little more up tempo. It's the most up tempo one that's not just a slow moving. The other 4 are all slow moving. So it was my last one I added today. Yes.
Oh, I am so glad it's in your 5 as well. This is it fills my heart to know this. Yeah, bro. This
you inspired it because I would have probably not even thought of it if you hadn't mentioned it because I was already because I already had a backup list and that wasn't even on my backup list. I had a backup list of 6 other ones.
But this is
that knocked out all those and made it way to the top 5. Yeah, that skipped ahead. So that one I was sleeping. I hadn't. Because I've listened to this album in a long time. I've listened to so much stuff, you know. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. This is the thing about like Redman's catalogue. We all got to recognise it is so deep, and you all have different. We could easily have a Muddy Water song here at number 2. Do you know what I mean? I love this song. So it's more of a personal pick, as in like I just can't believe how good it still is. That bass line is unreal, as I've talked about. I just think it still makes me go smash my head upon something like when I hear it, and just the whole thing. Nothing to see here was if I wasn't nice, motherfucker, I won't be here. It's like those moments.
That was the part where I was like, yeah, top out.
But do you see what I mean? It's that good.
That was
like
tipping point.
Yeah.
Like maybe Rockafella. Then nope, we're not coming down. Never mind. That's it.
You know when a song lifts you so high in the air and you're just not coming down from that. It's like, nah, I'm not coming down from that. I lived for a long time, right, just with Simon Says as that song. I just never came down from it for ages. And I had the most intimidating poster in my room of like, it was about a 10-foot Pharaoh Monch. You remember the Simon Says kind of single artwork where he's coming up, like it's 4 or 5 of him, and they're all coming up towards you. And I had that, and it was signed by Pharaoh Monch at the back of my thing. And if I've, I don't know, my latest girlfriend, if I bring it, I have to explain this now, you know? And it's like, that, who is he? You don't know who he is? Now you have to sit here and listen to this song 5 times. I was that awful boyfriend. But it's on my work, so I've been married for a long time. But yes, so anyway, When I Come Around, right up there for me. I'm glad it's in your 5 as well. And I've got a number 1 here. I think it might be quite obvious now thinking about it. But let me quickly jump into the chat, see if I haven't missed anything. Jack P, unpopular opinion as well, but I think Malpractice as a record is fun as hell. That is unpopular. Like, you got that right. It's an unpopular opinion. I've not heard it for a long time. I need to go back. Right now, because Al Green Sample is my favourite from Red Gone Wild. Good shout. If I had multiple tracks from the same album, my last 2 would be Whateva Man and Do What You Feel. We already talked about how strong that song is as well. Okay, and we talked about how deep, by the way, I forgot to big up Grindhouse Music, who does the music for the show, because you talk about depth of catalogue, and I'd even not heard this song before, and he said, oh, have you heard that I Got a Secret remix? I haven't heard of an I Got a Secret remix. I was like, no, I've missed this, and it's this dub remix of Redman, right? And it's so banging. And I thought, before I do my top 5, I've got to mention this song, because I don't know if anyone else has heard it, but it's this I Got a Secret remix, and holy moly, that song is unbelievable. So yeah, Redman works on dubstep as well, which is amazing. So my number 1 for Aliens, let's get ready to rumble, because this is the most timeless classic hardcore anthem that if you ever had a Now This Is Hardcore Hip Hop compilation tape that your mum has in the car, right? This is probably right up there in the top few songs. It's Time for Some Action from 1992.
This is your number 1?
This is my number 1. This is my number 1. Anybody else got Time for Action in around their 5s?
6 or 7.
Oh,
8, 9. It was one of the ones that was in the conversation for sure.
Interesting.
And it was the one that made me, it was the one when I worked my way back, I was like, oh yeah, he's always great with picking singles, and they're always skillful.
Yes.
That was like from the beginning, he was like giving his best writing to his singles. So like it helped me really understand that years ago. So yeah, it's not in my top 5, but it could be next week.
Okay. Like most of these songs, super.
Again, the great dilemma. I think we might need to do an episode called The Great Redman Dilemma. Like, there's no wrong answers. There really is no wrong answers, man.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Time for Some Action. I love the way, you know, in an offshoot note, Master Ace brought it back years later on EMC when he said something about, you see the sign in the caption, and once it's Redman, Time for Some Action. Oh. And I thought I just thought that was dope, that someone like Master Ace, who came before Redman, could also like reference him too. It just kind of put out that bat signal that he's so respected by the best as well.
100%, absolutely. I think there is what I call goosebump hip hop. Right. So you have goosebump hip hop that makes your hair stand on end or just gets you going. And it's interesting. People out there, best goosebump hip hop songs, please let me know. Absolutely. I want to hear about those. But I was thinking about like this song not fading. Like it's not really, and I understand some people say it has. Some people, when it comes out, oh, kind of heard this before. But it's like, for me, it just really has never, ever lost that shine. Every time I hear it, the magic of the Be Real voice sample, to sample that at that time was incredible. Even to this day, I'm like, it's just so well done. And I think it might be one of my favorite. I think it might be one of the hardest hip hop songs. It's right up there for me. And when it comes on at a show, that's always one thing I remember. It was always on before a gig when someone was about to come on. That would come on, or if you're at a show and they're just a DJ and that comes on, you need to be ready for what's going to happen on that dance floor. Like hoodies. Like I get t-shirts being ripped. I get like, you know, I remember like at shows where someone's hoodie was ripped off at this song. I was like, how has that happened? How has that happened? Do you know what I mean? It's almost the same as when I saw Woo at the Hammersmith Apollo, right? And it's one of the funniest videos. I still go back to it now. We were filming. Meth was he does this thing. Anyone who's seen Woo a lot will know he likes to crowd surf but stand and rhyme. So people be holding up by his feet, kind of thing. So it's wicked. And he's doing that. And I'm kicking something. What is this? And it's a trainer. And I was like, oh, someone's training's come off. That's happened before at a gig. And I'm like, oh, someone's training. And this lad comes out of this pit, right? And I'm not joking. The skinniest, palest, sweatiest lad I've ever seen, in a tuxedo, Woo came. It was, oh, that's my high top, and I was like, what? And there were so many questions that I couldn't fathom what was happening, and I did think that's only at a Wu-Tang show. Only at a Wu-Tang show.
I went to see Wu-Tang had a suit on.
You had a suit on at a Wu-Tang.
I went straight from work. Don't listen. I had no time to go home and change. Like, people were looking at me crazy, and I'm like, don't look at me crazy. I'm here for the same reason you're here.
I love you. I love this. That's brilliant.
What?
Man had a tuxedo though. That's a level above a suit.
Yeah, that's different.
He's
that's
dressed
different.
up. He's dressed up for this. You know.
You know what? He came. He understood the assignment. He's like, I went to see Wu-Tang.
He either got married or saw Wu-Tang. Either
Come
one.
on, man. But listen. come on, man. Shout out to him, whoever you are, wherever you are. Shout out to you.
Yeah, and big up for that video. It's amazing. I still love it. But again, this crazy shit I've had happen. Well, I've seen it when Time for Action comes on, and it just changes people. It just changes you. And sometimes the obvious answer is the right answer. I've talked about this before, and I think this is that where you have this moment where a man is so unbridled. First album, first really probably hit single. I'd have thought his own solo, like it kind of just went timeless, if you know what I mean. And the fact he's so much energy on this, he's so hype, you have to be told to stop. Like that happens in hip hop now and again, but someone's like, yo, chill, you ain't got to say no more, it's over. Like that moment, that's a moment for me. It's just, so Time for Some Action is, right up there for me. Anyone else got any? I want to hear about your fives in a minute now, guys. We're going to go into these. But has anyone else got any other thoughts on Time for Some Action? Nothing? We good? Right,
Classic
good.
song, innit?
Classic song, absolutely. Free Music Empire's entered the chat. Big up Dan O. He's on this show a few times. I am late. Anybody talk about Redman coming through with a flamethrower on the 8-Ball Lost album? This is the kind of hidden gems I'm talking about. I need to go back. I remember that song. I don't remember that song, but I remember it being on the album. I need to go check it again.
I've got that album actually in my cart to buy. I've never heard it. Thank you. Thank you for putting that bug in my ear. I need to go and hear that.
Interesting. Okay.
I've heard it probably once. So I got to go back and listen to myself.
Oh, Lost is good. I haven't heard it in a while, but I remember rinsing that CD. That CD got a bit of...
I love the cover, man. Shout out Pen and Pixel.
Yeah.
I only have it on cassette. I only have the promo copy on cassette. It's the blue cover with black text. So I only have it on cassette. So that's why I haven't, in my cassettes in storage. So I know it's probably online somewhere, but I haven't looked it up online.
I'll listen to it afterwards. Thanks for that shout, bro.
There we go. Love it. We're all learning and we're all loving it. It's brilliant. Let's do top fives then. So, Chris, I've got 3 of yours. Yeah?
Yeah.
Kevin, how many?
You got 3 of mine too.
3 of yours too. Right, let's go to Kevin next then. Kevin, drop us. What order are these in? And then drop us.
I didn't do any order. I can't do order.
That's fine.
You already taxed my brain to the max. I think Jan for you is my number 1, and we go from there. It's everything else is number 2.
Okay, so I like that.
Number 1 and 4 number 2s.
Okay. Drop us your next one. What you got?
So you got Jam for You. The 3 you picked were Jam for You, Journey Through the Dark Side, and When I Come Around. Mm-hmm. The next one, I was talking about my certain, like what he does is this kind of like remakes, got same thing each album. So it's Jam for You, Journey Through the Dark Side, Creepin.
Oh, Creepin. What a weird song. Let's go. Yeah.
It's one of the slowest beats he ever rhymes to, and it's just like he just engineering your injury. Oh, come on, man. He's just come on now. Come on.
His rhyming on that is crazy. I find
his flow on there is impeccable. And that beat is man. So that one's and then the one that's kind of the odd one is only on a promo tape is Smoke a Blunt 2.
Okay.
It was a Month of the Man, 94, Redman, Method Man promo tape. And that I remember when I had that tape before I interviewed Redman, and I asked him if it was going to be on the album, and he said it's not going to be on the album. So I ended up telling him, I was like, that song has to come out. I had a radio show back then called Time Travel.
Right.
And I made these compilation CDs of like all like promo songs and rare demos that didn't come out. I compiled them. I have 2 volumes. And Smoke a Blunt 2 is one of the ones I put on there. And I would like give him. I never hit it. I would give them to the artist. Like, yo, I put your song on here. Like,
what album was that recorded for? I've never heard it.
That would have been There's a Darkside. So 94.
Okay, I need to check.
The month of the 94.
I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's in the vein of I would say it's probably in the vein of like a Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing because I listened back to it when you mentioned it, and I hadn't heard it, and that and Creeping are similar in this vein of odd. I don't hear him on this production. I don't hear Redman on this production. And you know what? I want it. I want this. And I know it's there as a Darkside. I know it's there as I know Creeping's on an album. But you know this weird, I reckon for Redman's next chapter, if there is to be one, there doesn't need to be one, but we keep hearing stories of Muddy Waters 3. I want this kind of underground, different kind of, not, it's like, I don't know how the word, it's like almost like Alien It's almost like alien production, if you know what I mean. And it feels like there's a bit of dubstep elements, not dubstep, but like electronic music, like trip hop kind of element. Smoke a Blunt too. It feels like it comes from a time when people just trying shit. And Creepin has that kind of weird electronic vibe to it as well, where I'm like, I don't get where this comes from really in your mind. They're kind of standout songs in that way. So yeah, it really makes me think if I got more Redman, go weird. Just go weird with someone like Conductor Williams. Get Conductor Williams to do some crazy wonky beats. Let's go wonky beats, if you know what I mean. That kind of thing. Yeah.
No, it's perfect the way you're saying. I like you were just figuring out how to describe it. I just figured this out like in the last year. I'm like, how do I describe that thing? What is the thing like this top 5 list describes my personality and how my personality chooses the music I like. And I'm like, what is that? And I figured this out just like last year. And I'm working on a new actually like little podcast called What a Decision. And that's what it is. When I listen to a song, I go, what a decision. I always say that, like, what made them decide to do that right there? But if I think what a decision, I love the song.
I like the way you describe that. Yes. That's dope.
Yeah.
It's like, like Creep, like, why is it this slow? Why is the beat like, why?
I get that same feeling when I listen to Ludacris Rollout. Like, why on earth did you rhyme like that? And it sounds so amazing.
Yeah.
He's that's rhyming. The question. If I have to ask what a decision, you did your job as an artist.
I love that. I will be tuning into that series. Absolutely.
I love that.
That's what I mean about Creepin as well. Look where it comes. Creepin is sort of muddy waters where you have this it is a uniform sound. There's a uniform sound to the album. Like, you know what you're getting. Creepin is the one where you're like, what is this though? And
it's a startup side B on the tape. Because back then I was buying tapes and you like flip it over and like, what? It's smack out of nowhere with Creepin. Like on side B, you're like, you think you know where you think you understand. You just finished side A. You think you understand. You don't understand what's coming.
Yeah, I love weird rap. And big up the weird rap crew. Weird rap crew out there as well. They specifically tackle weird rap. And as I've got older, I've realized I love weird rap. I love it when people go weird a bit. You know, it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, that's why I love Matt Homme now. And Matt, I'm not saying calling it weird rap in a way, but some of the beats that he's rhyming on should not be beats. You know,
bro, it's okay. It's weird, man. Once upon a time, I called MF Doom weird, man. I said it.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, he's the legend. He is what we have all. He's fathered it all. If you know what I mean. So.
My guy was working in HMV at the time. I said to him, "Yo, what's selling in HMV, bro?" I said, "What? Jay-Z, Rockafella?" He said, "No." He said, "MF Doom and Quasimodo." I said, "Who?" He's like, "All right." I said, I got to do my research now. All right, yeah. And I've been in everything.
That's interesting. You know, you brought up Jigger. I forgot to mention this, but you know, we talked about Tonight's the Night. I was listening to that again today, and I was like, do you know what? This should be on Reasonable Doubt, this beat. This beat could easily be on Reasonable Doubt. I can actually see this beat being a Jay-Z song. And don't know why...
Jay-Z don't want to rhyme with Redman. He should. No, I'm joking. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
But if Sermon was dropping something for that album, that would be the beat. That would be the beat.
Word.
Chris, your final 2 then, my man. And you're going to recap what we've got so far? What we got so far?
I think we got Pick It Up, Funkorama.
Oh, love.
Can't Wait.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right. So I'm going to go with a sleeper one, yeah?
Let's go.
Where Am I? New Jersey Drive soundtrack.
Oh.
Where Am I?
Right, so check this out. You see, growing up in the 90s, right, sometimes artists' best songs or some of their like crazy tunes on soundtracks. They're not on that album, yo. Outkast, Benz and Beamer is not on that album.
Yes.
Listen to what I'm saying, people.
Yes.
Go and listen to that Soul in the Hole soundtrack, yeah? Your Life, OC, Dead Prayers. Listen, don't get me started, bro. But Where Am I when you said I'm baking bitches like Anita in the Rapture? I love the Rapture album.
Wow.
I have to put, and it's Redman produced as well. I have to say it again, Redman as a producer.
No. In the 90s, in like 94, 96, I used to, as an MC, I was like, I wanted to rhyme to Redman beats. I was like,
dude, that Fade Them All beat.
Yeah.
Come on. So, I'm going to go to sleeper. I don't think no one's ever said this. And I might have a bonus track, so bear with me, Cam.
Okay. No, this is great.
You see Case Closed from Muddy Waters. Listen. Man said, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound of the £4. Why are you comparing gunshots to gospel music, bro? Why? Listen, did you hear that beat? Did you hear it? Did you hear the bass line, bro? Doom, doom, doom. Now, listen, I had to connect dots, bro. Because I remember Crossbreed being on the Insomnia soundtrack, right? I didn't know who Crossbreed was. When I checked the credits, I saw D. Stinson. I said, D. Stinson. I said, that's Rockwilder. Bro, you see the verses on this song, yeah? They captured every pocket and emotion. You understand what I'm saying? So Redman's just out the gate, right? Then Rockwilder comes in on the second verse. It's so abstract. Listen, and this is, I'm going to say something, right? Sometimes as a rapper, sorry, am I getting too excited?
No, keep going.
As a rapper, it's not always about saying the best rhymes, it's saying the rhymes best. When Rockwilder said, he goes, I devour, night sun shower, minutes last hour, weak man's last power. Dude, move out the way. Move out the way. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's magic. That's it.
Magic. Crossbreed's the name, fool. That's my name. Why the hell are you trying to get... Listen, oh my... And then the last verse comes in and, I'm a young black man in London, right? And there's just certain things people say and it resonates with me, bro. And he says, Napalm, I don't know what happened to him. He said, things ain't easy because we be struggling day to day. A bunch of stressed black men with not really much to say, twisting up some brown paper that we struggle just to get. Dude, round of applause. That song there. All right.
I love this energy. This is what I'm talking about.
I love Case Closed, bro.
Case Closed is
I avoided all songs that weren't Redman solos because if I included songs with features, Case Closed probably would have been in my top 5. In between Case Closed and It's Like That but Case Solo, both
come on, man,
are my top 5, but I avoided features.
Right, I had to put Case Closed in it. I'd be lying to myself and lying to the people if I didn't put Case Closed in.
And we don't want that.
I'm glad you did because I didn't. I'm glad.
Yo, that song there.
It has to be said.
And Cam, you asked me what would a Redman song I'd play for aliens. Bruv, since we're talking about extraterrestrial and what's real and what's not, is he for real?
Oh, mate. Oh.
Is he for really? And I love that. When I heard that vocal sample, because LaFleur is my favorite posse cut ever.
Oh, like love that. Ever. Like
when that song comes out, I could do it muscle memory, no problem. But when he's somebody like the Fuse, so I can bring bad news to all these crews who can't NBA jam in these shoes. Case finished. Done.
Is he
on the break right now? Is that the first song on that album?
No, I think it's track number 3. I think Rock the Spot is first.
Yeah, it's early. That is.
Let me check for you.
There's a song on I think it's the first song on the album that I don't know about the CD, but on the tape and the album has an extra verse on the vinyl.
Oh.
It wasn't. So I wonder on streaming if it's the version with the extra verse or not. I can't remember what song, if it's the first or the second song. I can't remember what it is.
Is He For Real is track number 2.
Yeah, it's
I
early
think that song has an extra verse on the vinyl has an extra verse that's not on the tape.
Oh. No, I'm upset because the CD version is really short.
Okay, so on the vinyl there's an extra verse.
There you go, even more.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you, man.
This is what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure it's that song. Yeah.
That's number 20 on my list. So I love that song. Case Closed. You know what I listened to it when at that time it made me think of this as well. One, it's the song on Buddy Waters that makes me think of There Is a Darkside. It feels like it's harking back to that sound a little bit, but also I don't know what it is about that song, but it makes me think of Big Trouble in Little China. There's something about that song, and I watched Big Trouble in Little China so much that the music just became like a thing in my life. And I watched it again the other day. That's how much I watched it. I watched it again last week.
Right.
But genuinely, that song, there's something about Case Closed that makes me think of the soundtrack to. And I don't know what's the. It might just be me, but either way, if anyone else is feeling that, let me know. But yeah, Case Closed, absolutely. Incredible song.
What a way to get to the end of the show, because that's like, yeah.
I was about to say, what a way to end it. What a way.
Case Closed, man. And Rockwilder did the beat too.
And Rockwilder, exactly, man.
Rockwilder, you go and do that, and then you bring him back years later for Christina Aguilera. Nah, man, salute to you.
And the Rockwilder, which is unbelievable. So come on, let's go. But yeah, there you go. So I've learned today. I've learned things. I feel like I've been to church and school, which is kind of nice, and in the thugged out mosh pit, which is always good as well. So yeah, let me just quickly jump into the chat before we go. Free Music Empire over here. Red will never do another song that sounds like Creepin. If he does, I'll get a faux hawk, which I'd love to see one of our listeners get a faux hawk. If he did. But this is what I mean. I wish he did do songs like that again. And Redman left some real gems on 90s soundtracks, he says, and we've already heard how many of those there are out there. Points. He's on Points with Biggie. He's on the Panther soundtrack. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's doing this. This is what I'm talking about. So, yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for jumping on, the energy, the time. Let us know what's up next. Chris, what's coming up for you? Do you want to push anything? Where can we find you in your work?
So you can find me on socials. I am Kinetic. IAMKINETIK. I'm everywhere. I'm working on some podcast series. Thank you to everyone who listens to Breaking Atoms. We're working on some bits. Looking at life after the microphone, when we hang up the podcast microphone. And got a new album coming real soon, produced by Kaiser and TE1, featuring Sky Zoo, Kaiser, a few other good folks. And no, just salute to the whole Creator 808 universe, and it's 50 years of hip hop, man. Like, you know, whoever thought hip hop would take it this far. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely go check out all of Chris's work. Kevin, how about you, my man?
Real quick, I want to say that I wish we got more Roslyn Noble.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
Like there's a few verses. I don't know, like 2 verses, and they both were super dope. And I wish they would did like more songs together. Yeah. I wish there was a Redman Roz like EP or something. That would have been tight.
I love that.
Beyond that, back to me. I'm always working on a million things. I got to mention at the top of the show, I got Stories About Songs podcast, which I just tell basically my personal stories, but like working with artists and over the years in my various ways. I also make music under the name 7 times 3 equals 21. And you can find me on all social media. This is Kevin Beacham. No one spells my name right, but it's right there on the screen. If you're listening, you can just Beacham.
There we go.
I just want to say, Kevin, you have blown my mind. This extra verse on "Is He For Real?" Like, I feel confused. I feel lost. I feel like, what have I been doing in my life? Like, I'm questioning my whole existence. Like, you're telling me there's an extra verse to one of my favorite Redman songs. Are you mad?
I'm pretty sure, man. I've
just gone on Discogs. I've just gone on Discogs. People are saying there's an extra verse that's not on the CD, and I want to know why.
I never understood it. There's only been like 3 cases I can think of back that where the vinyl had a different version of a song. It's very rare that it happens. I remember on the day I bought the tape, and then I got the promo sent to me for my radio show, and I was like, this song, am I forgetting a verse? I remember it blew my mind when I first heard that.
See, this is what's interesting right now in the back there. You see, that's Billy Woods and Kenny Siegel's. That's the different version of Maps. So Maps has come out this year, and we did a whole set. I'm not going to keep. I know Billy Woods comes up along this, but I'm not going to get. People always rinse me for it, but that has different versions, and it harks back to that. This is special. This is a special moment where someone's made this especially for these type of listeners. And I feel like hip hop, it is 50 years and we're still learning, Chris. Like, there's still moments of these, like today I've learned things where I'm like, I love this about this culture, and there's people like from all these different eras, and we can come up on this platform and just talk about it. Absolutely, man. So before we go, then we talk about our last great piece of music we heard. Could be old, could be new. I'm going to let you guys think on it for a second. Just the last great piece of music you heard. I've got one here, and I heard it this morning, and it was on shuffle on my hip hop playlist. It was like, bloody, I don't know, it's so long, this playlist I've got, and it was Rampage's Wild for the Night was the last great thing. Like, you know, when you hear something again, and I know this is great, and it's like, oh no, this is great. Like, oh, it's incredible. Of course. And that is just one of my favorite beats of all time.
I really want to know who Backspin the Vibe Chemist is, who produced that. It's one of my unanswered hip hop questions. I really want to know who he is. I want to know what he looks like. Like, dude, who are you?
Yeah, that's a real
thing. Definitely very mysterious. Yeah.
Dude, I want to know who. Like, you did. I swear you did Flip Mode meets Def Squad. Like, come outside. Like, let's celebrate you. Shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And big up to Rampage that Redman's on, I think. So yeah, there you go. Oh, no, LL Cool J. That's LL Cool J.
Yeah, LL Cool J.
LL Cool J. Yeah, I heard that guy the other day as well. But yes, you guys, the last great piece of music you heard?
I'm going to go with this. I was listening to this morning.
Oh, the Nonce.
Yeah, I know the name doesn't work well in the UK, and I understand it. But that aside, this is a really, really, really great album. It's a great album that you can focus and listen to, or you can just have on as background music. Shout out to the 90s Tapes crew, because they did the reissue, and I bought the CD from them. It's a great album. It's got a certain charm to it. I love it.
You should, if you really enjoyed that, if you haven't yet, one of the members has a Bandcamp page with a lot of solo music that is really great. Under SAC Ill Pages, SACH Ill Pages. If you don't know, all one
Thank
word.
You so much, bro.
You'll find and it also has a bunch of outtakes and demos and stuff on that page too.
Dope. I'll check it out. Thank you, bro.
He's great. Yeah.
Kevin, take you to school. What about you, Kevin? What?
You know what's funny, because I've been in this zone where I'm like, I've been like, because I've been such a strong hip hop head for all of my life. It's like hip hop. I knew other things, of course, but I've been like really last few years just like diving down wormholes of things that I don't listen to before. So this last week, I've been just like exploring for the first time Detroit techno.
Oh,
so I've been like into like this, like, and it's like Octave One and Robert Hood and Juan Atkins, and like really like I want to go to a Detroit techno show that's like in the club, and I like the more darker the darker techno, like the real heavy drums that are feel like they're about to break your skull while you're dancing and having fun.
I want to go to one of these nights as well. So let's both go. I need to go to one of these Detroit techno nights. Yeah, we talked briefly about techno with Dylan Green, who was on before, and he was talking about that as well. So
shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out. And absolutely love that shout. Brilliant. Well, guys, I hope we filled your Redman fix for the year. But do go out there and keep spinning his music, man. Absolutely. And big yourselves up, guys. Thank you again for jumping on. It's been absolute pleasure and an honor to have you. Go check out these guys' works. And you know what? Give us all some ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. All our stuff, 5 stars, please. It really does help all our stuff that we're doing, and then we can deliver more of these nerd chats for you. Do you know what I mean? So if you help us, we help you, and we all live in this beautiful community together. So yes, thank you so much, guys. We shall catch you soon. Thank you for the live show. Hold on 2 seconds. What we got here? Jack P, last great piece of music is Oscar Wilde for the Night. What a great name that is. Oscar Wilde for the Night by Zilla Rocker and Jason Griff. Big up Zilla and Griff, absolutely. And we shall catch you soon. Peace.
Peace.